How about a good old tech yeah? It's time to get into it. It's CRL Open Madness here for the early part of fall. I'm Hail Monkey Man in the booth alongside the Banana Patch Man himself. You know him, you love him, you're gonna learn a lot more of him. It's gonna be Monkey Shines hanging out alongside myself. Good old Warriors up on deck with the orange citrus surrounding us. Monkey Shines, good to be with you onto the desk the first time together ever. I need to know how you feel as we jump straight into the game, BO3 style.
Feeling fantastic. I don't care if you call it the Banana Bunch, the Zoo Crew, whatever you prefer. I needed to be here. I need to be with the Warriors. I need to be with my guy, Double M. And I cannot be more excited about what we're going to see here this evening. Indiana Tech Warriors taking on Rowan to kick this one up. Best of 3 action. CRL, big pardon. Open tourney 3v3 action, and it is going to be an evening. I will say, Double M, I am absolutely adoring this roster, by the way.
Yeah, this roster has been very volatile and very new. Talking about from the new semester kicking in from last time round, Bob decided he would have to leave all the legends to the side, and instead Indiana Tech came in fresh. They got Reshi, Velocity, and of course Bluey. And last time round, they came in 3rd place into the Open Qualifier, trying to see what more they can do. But we have to speak of the Owls, as Ant will be the first one to put Rowan on the board.
We had 4:15 left to go in this one, and it was a battle of the Owls to be able to get into this one. Rowan besting Florida Atlantic. 4:15 left to go in this one, and able to strike first are the Owls. But again, sometimes in these moments, I mean, the very first time under these lights are the Warriors playing, so it might take a minute to kind of settle those nerves down a little bit. So obviously a 1-0 situation, nothing to stress about in the interim.
They definitely isolated that final fight, but it was Velocity that picks us up into the stripes now to equalize here within the first minute of play. Reshi trying to combat everything onto the backboard. With Blue and Velocity, you never know which one is going to be the main one to get that strike right there. But Monkey Shines, I think we can trust in Velocity a lot of the part of the day. There's going to be questions asked, and it's mostly of if this team can continue to have the momentum that they found in conference play and maybe turning one in early to get a lead. That one turned out.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit prior to the broadcast as well. Velocity, Reshi, very familiar, but you said you know a great deal about Bluey. I think at the end of the day, so many people will know a great deal about Bluey. Talk about the mechanics that this team does have, and they have had a great deal of success as of late. And as if on cue, it is Blue E that is talking 2-1 in favor of the Warriors.
Just a nice isolated festive moment. They make Ant go jumping, and then they just keep it controlled off of their left side fender. That's the exact same style of mechanics that Bluey wants to continue to flash tonight. I feel like some of that gets missing, it gets muted, and it becomes mediocre if they do not have the speed at which they want to execute. A lot of that ends up being reliant upon having boost, but then you get Reshiram. Everyone involved between all 3 of these Warriors.
Yeah, love it. And hey, got the team hat trick out there, 331. And hey, that singular solitary goal for a hot second for Rowan said it was nice when we hit that level of momentum. Can we quite possibly get that back? But the Warriors ain't about that life whatsoever, getting on the board thrice, and we are just over $130 in.
Trying to be able to find each other in backfield space. Now, this is some of the opening rounds that you're going to expect Indiana Tech to have a lot of affluency and a lot of success, as Velocity will turn in yet another one. They let the first one go, and then the next 4 follow almost immediately, and it took only a minute 40. 100 seconds into this game, Monkey Shines.
So 3:20 left to go, ladies and gentlemen, up 4-1. I don't want to presume too much. I don't want to cast the heck out of this thing, but across the room, there is a passport, and that's all I'm going to say about it right now is Velocity sending this one up and over. Look for the shot on and going to get it yet again. We got ourselves halfway to the 10-piece, good sir.
This could be a very long best of 3 just to get these replays going through here, Shines. Oh my goodness. So Indiana Tech, obviously the team that knows how to run out the score. They have a very forward-running nose down to the grindstone and then suddenly up in the sky style of offense. They love to punish you when they can, and then they also love to recover from behind. Their defense is often picking the pocket of anyone that comes up onto their orange half. If they often get to be in school colors, trying to see what they can do in combination together. They might get punished here. In fact, this is just it's going to find the post.
There's a fine catch right there by the Warriors. Now looking for a brush up. Bopped on the low, going to be able to grab the 100. There is Reshi taking a sweet time. Got to be challenged to flick away off the Musty, looking to follow, coming across mid, and Ant just lays out, trying to deny for a hot second. Slows thing for the moment. Not going to be a shot on for the Warriors. It skids. Velocity going to be able to take possession over into the corner. Big Parton challenge off the low there yet again. Musty one more time by Velocity, carried across. Can the Warriors possibly follow? No, it is killed off the back courtesy of Elastic.
Elastic actually had a really good position there to finally recover, because I think that one was dead to rights off of the crossbar with a double touch attempt. But this one eventually was just going to be a foot race. Velocity continuing with the play. Good possession off their nose. They turn this just one short of Brazil.
From one end of the pitch to the other. Gorgeous touch and carry, and indeed, my hands inch ever closer towards the passport. So 2:07 left to go in this one. And hey, at the end of the day, what a great way to start things out. Obviously, it's still a best of 3, but when you come out firing on all cylinders, you get the momentum early. You don't have to stress about, okay, what can we possibly do? What do we need to do? You are out there. You are actively getting that confidence. And I will say this, a confident Warrior roster is a dangerous Warrior roster.
It most definitely will be so, and they also know that they were tested last time around. Obviously, went down to Michigan State as well as to Concord, and so when things were ramping up in terms of pace against Concord, they felt a lot more confident. They were running up and down this pitch. They left their backline exposed several times. That obviously has been cleaned up. A drop in the bucket for Velocity. I think they got a Hattie +1 at minimum as we finally work our way to South America.
And my guy Velocity on the cusp of the double hat trick as well. $1.30 left to go in this one. You're talking about Michigan State. Michigan State Green, of course, in this pool as well. So might see them a little bit later on in the evening. That a fun roster as well. So I got to ask you. I mean, obviously we have the Warrior mentality right now. I was going to ask what you must do if you're Rowan to be able to respond. That's certainly it right there. Got to find a way to follow up on that as well. But at this point, hey, we're talking about what, 7 Indiana Tech goals to every one. So just wait for that 14-2 situation.
That's going to be some big numbers if it happens that way. But if I'm Rowan, even if it's a best of 3, and obviously the best of 3 is a sprint of a series, game ones can be like this. Now, you don't want it to be a rhythm, a pattern of occurrences where it ends up happening every single game. Could be all of 2, but you can go to the same level of attack and same level of challenge that can isolate and stunt the Warriors. It happens a lot when Indiana Tech finds someone taking away their fun time zone, getting away from some of the bumps, some of the physicality, and Rowan could do so, but the Warriors are taking some of their patience and they're running it forward into that Rowan defensive. Oh my goodness, what a save out of Ant.
Absolutely gorgeous save there by Ant, just doing everything it possibly can, every bit of body weight that he could possibly shove it away. But ultimately, Reshi waving the finger said, wasn't it nice to have hope, at least on that play, for a hot second. Up and over. IT back to 6, and we are talking 8-2, 41 ticks left to go. And like you said, it is game number 1. So if you're Rowan, hey, things aren't necessarily going away straight away, but I think for them, it's definitely going to have to be a memory of goldfish situation heading on into game number 2. But to be fair as well, the benefit is that there is an extra life down in the lowers, but you can't think like that. You can't think about moral victories or anything like that. Not now, not in the here, not the now. As Reshi maybe looking for one more. That one is set up off the booty. We're making it 9-2. Who's hungry? We may very well get the 10-piece.
Goodness gracious, hitting him with the boot stick. Reshi with the back end. He was nearly onto a pogo just to try to be able to set up good old Velocity. So, all right, when you have the ability to try out things that normally you wouldn't into especially a much more expeditious and execution heavy time or series, do it now. But also don't get yourself caught up in the works of what you're doing to Rowan. With 14 seconds to go, Indiana Tech has done everything they need to. They're expected to try and move their way through the Owls, but definitely they're looking for 10. Why not do it in regulation? They have just a couple seconds to get it done. They might be able to find it.
You have your opportunity to go a bit free play mode. Why not take it? It will not be there later on. And indeed, Indiana Tech, the Warriors, we begin the evening, well, undefeated for the time being, 1-0 in this series. Of course, best of 3 action. And my goodness, you have a look at that stat sheet, the shot chart popping off. In fact, it is the double hat trick for Velocity. What much more can you say? What much more need you say?
I mean, when you're hat stacking, especially in this game, things are a little bit wild. So we'll go into game number 2 momentarily. And again, to remind you guys, in case you do not know what the bracket looks like, well, we are in round number 2 because of Indiana Tech's performance in the previous CRL Open Qual when they try to get into the Split 1 league play. So this will be best of 3 in round number 2. It will be best of 3 in the quarterfinals, and then we start rocking with some best of 5s. It is projected that we'll probably see University of Texas in Dallas, but they are playing against Northern Arizona in their own right. That's a kind of a nasty team with the Lumberjacks, and this is all to be able to only have 4 teams in each of these pools get those coveted points to try and qualify just for the close qualifier.
Yeah, and you were talking about it as well a little bit before broadcast. I mean, you have to work deep into this to even get a single solitary point, let alone several. So a lot on the line. You have, regardless of whichever school you might be, you have a tough road to hoe if you even want a single solitary point. But I will say, I fully believe in the boys to be able to get to the end of that rainbow.
Yeah, definitely, especially because their main objective is to be able to take down the meanies in green. You've got Michigan State Spartans that are on the other side of this bracket. Good seating, by the way, for all the admins that did this. Also, thank you so much for putting UANL over there, because that is a tough squad. They had to play them twice in that CRL Open for the Split 1, and it was tough both times. That university comes from out of Mexico, and they are ballers. You do not want to take them lightly. The Tigers are ready to play. So I will not be surprised if we see something maybe a little crazy on the side of Michigan State. They can work with that. On our side, we're looking at BPC. Bruden Parker hasn't, like you've mentioned, like we've seen with general success from out of this team, hasn't been an issue as of yet, but you don't want to sleep on him.
No, you don't. And that BPCU Premier team, that is a team that I'm watching a little bit, able to get that dub over USC Catalyst. Big pardon. That, of course, the team of Many Milk and Cass. So excited to see what they might have at the end of the evening, or maybe a little bit later on. Maybe we happen to see them on the opposite side of the pitch. But Demo Memo getting passed out here early on. A kick back up and over towards Reshi. Reshi going to send this one sky high, looking to get possession. Yet again, maybe a setup back down. Nobody going to be able to get a shot, but Bluey, the nudge over into the core, setup opportunity. Indeed, going to be able to catch and carry. Coming across mid is Velocity. Velocity with the center way, able to get it across one. And Rowan, for the time being, able to deny, but we will see if they will be able to keep things going. They were able to get one on the board there in the early going, and I think, honestly, if you want to talk about Rowan, what can they feel good about? I think you have to look at micro victories, and in this case, I was going to say, Caster Chris, I'm terribly sorry, Rowan, I was going to say they were able to keep the Warriors off the scoreboard, and as that not even trickling out of my mouth, maybe not, stop, rewind, 417, and take us on board.
I mean, there's also someone that you want to look at for Rowan, because the Owls had Ant in their back line. They were definitely forcing their way through, and I feel like they were definitely effective at finding at least the couple of opportunities that went to the back of the net. But Indiana Tech has a trio of slayers that really exist out here, if I use some Halo terminology. Elastid definitely had some solid defensive attempts to their own name and merit, but alongside Ant, they have to rely on a lot more demos. That is in the face of Ant, by the way, who was trying to just kind of post up, square up, and see what they could do with it. Unfortunately for Rowan, they didn't have anyone else, and everyone is a 3 versus 1, but the Warriors cannot navigate around that last defender.
And what I will say as well for the Warriors is you can just see the confidence. You can just kind of see the relaxed nature, whereas Rowan looking a little bit more tightened up. Maybe they of course do understand the pressure of the situation. I mean, if they lose one single solitary game, they shift on down towards the lowers. Of course, Indiana Tech right now just taking their time. I don't know that we are going to see a free play mode like we did in game number 1, but far be it from me to deny the boys if they are interested. It is the layout defensive effort, but I will emphasize effort on that one. Alas, able to kill it off the undercarriage, and my goodness gracious, what a setup.
Darn if you do, darn if you don't. Melastid had 2 options. He either brings it to the corner and there's already a Warrior sitting and waiting there, or does exactly what they did to try and gain a little bit of extra territory to the middle of the pitch, and suddenly there's a shooter alert. So Indiana Tech just never leaves them well enough alone. They obviously are starving them out as well. Last-ditch effort to get a double commit as Slasher will try and find a way through, but Rowan and the gang feels like it's been tough for them to get anything going from out of their own back half. It's not quite free play, but they're definitely taking their extra pot shots.
Yeah, they are indeed taking pot shot. They take a swipe after swipe and putting so much pressure on Rowan right now. I mean, even though it's a 2-0 situation, it feels like far more is on the board. And looking for one more to get it on the board is Velocity. Says, my guy, you want to see numbers? You want to see some racking up of stats? I can certainly afford you that opportunity. And marvelous setup again. Just not laissez-faire by any stretch of the imagination, but just kind of a stretched out moment, just kind of cracking the knuckles, giving a couple of neck rolls, and Indiana Tech looking about as comfortable as they possibly could out there, up 3-0.
They're also they're finally kind of separating their shot lines because a lot of it had been favoring going to that left side corner. Oh, are they going to defend it? Yes, they will. Velocity's trying to just tell them, do not get this free net. We do not take free nets. So they stretched it from that left post to the right post, just seeing if they could kind of diversify their portfolio of ideas, attempts, and ultimate collections onto the scoreboard. But Indiana Tech is obviously in a position to just kind of play around, see if they can burn a lot more of this clock a lot faster. They don't want to be here forever. They got another round to get to.
High standards, and I fully appreciate that. We're not going to take it easy. We're actually going to put a little bit of strain, a little bit of pressure on ourselves. I can fully appreciate that, and there will be no goose egg. Slasher going to be able to get the Rowan crew on the board 3-1, but why do I feel like there is a rather immediate response coming here?
It might be. It's the whole Michael Jordan JPEG took that one, personally, sort of situation. And Indiana Tech is just, they're trying to run this clock. And how dare Rowan be able to stop this one? So, with a minute 48 in approach, Bluey's going to drop at least into the stripes. And Indiana Tech, the best thing that I've seen them do so far, there was not a priority. Obviously, into this series is a little bit different considering the control. Not a priority to keep themselves defensively minded. They had to recover. Bluey with a double tap. That goes Bardowski. Velocity definitely stat padding now.
Now the crossbar Rowan fan in the moment, but did not matter. Bluey fine setup, absolute banger. But at the end of the day, some people might call that a steal. You know what I say, team game. And right now, the Warriors up 4-1, $1:31 left to go. And again, I will give Rowan all the credit in the world. I mean, they are definitely trying to find something here, knowing that you're going down to the lowers. You got to find some positive, something positive whatsoever to be able to go down there and say, okay, well, we can take this away. We played a tremendously good squad. What can we possibly do? But I got to ask you right now, Double M, what can Rowan do that is a positive to shift on down to the lower split?
It's just about being able to play up to speed. Whenever you go into this game, so much of this game is about just finding your mechanics as well as finding your rotation in pace and in stride. And when we see it with Indiana Tech, they're already creating about 2 steps forward. Even whenever they have to find themselves at their own doorstep dealing with Ant and company, they just are nonplussed. A triple commit because reasons out of Indiana Tech. And for Rowan, they definitely forced the issue early. It's a matter of that their defense has been available. But when they get stuck, you saw them get stalled. I think that was the last on the goal line. You just can't move forward or back to be able to stop this kind of shot.
Yeah, tipping if you got him, ladies and gentlemen. It is the hat trick for Velocity. Now just needing another one. I mean, you talk about racking up the caps. We got to get an entirely new stand. We got to figure out a way to get more wall at this rate. And Indiana Tech up 5-1. My goodness gracious. What of a shot straight out of center field. It hits right on down. And Bluey looking for a return trip. Indiana Tech, just a little bit of everything, and again was able to get that lone goal on the board. Was Rowan, same situation as our game number 1, would need one more to match that offensive output. But again, right now, like you said, there were a couple of moments where there was a little bit more of a huddle than maybe we would like to see the boys have. But I mean, at the end of the day, so much in this. I am absolutely loving. Like I said, there is that confidence right now, having a little bit of fun. 20 seconds left to go in this one before advancing. Rowan shifting on down to the lowers, but again, looking for something, going to be denied. Again, are the Owls. Bluey, that one popped back by Elastic. Maybe looking for 100. No, instead, through the fire and the flames, Bluey not able to carry on. Velocity just got to chill things for a moment. Ready to advance are the Warriors, and advance they shall as that one touches terra firma.
We touch grass and we pass on into the quarterfinals, where it will be the Comets of the University of Texas at Dallas that will be waiting on the Warriors here for Indiana Tech. So little Tech, little, getting the job done. Doesn't have to be too Vauburse, too crazy, but definitely just getting a match complete and one that you're expected to. But slowly but surely over the course of this bracket, we're going to see it ramp up in both difficulty and pace. UTD, a perennial school here in CRL. Maybe not the exact same rosters that have done it before, but definitely something that will start maybe tightening up the boys as they go along.
Yeah, absolutely. And you come into this one, and yes, is it a should have? Absolutely. Was it a must have? Yes, absolutely it was. But at the end of the day, hey, you go out there, you get the dubs that you are expected. And in a situation like that, you are kind of sort of in a pressured situation because you are expected to go out and do what they did. And if you don't, you ask yourself, why? What exactly did we do that we weren't supposed to? But at the end of the day, in terms of mental, fantastic. In terms of play, fantastic. No notes.
No notes, not yet. Maybe we'll string up a harmony here soon, but we'll be taking a short break. It's going to be the Warriors facing off against the Comets. You don't want to miss it. More of the CRL Open number 1 back at you here in just a moment. Bingo, bango, bongo. We're back on the road here with the Warriors. Indiana Tech live and loud. They're taking on one of those perennials that started it all here with the good old CRL. It's University of Texas in Dallas with the Comets. I'm Hell Monkey Man, still in the booth alongside Monkey Shines. And as we get deeper into this one, it's going to get a little tougher here, Shines, but I feel like Indiana Tech's going to do just fine. Let's kick off game one.
I think they'll do all right. And again, coming in from what we previously saw, okay, the bar wasn't especially high, but you cleared it, and that's the point. But indeed, the Comets providing a little bit different challenge, as you say. But we certainly aren't seeing the same level of scoring as we have in games past. All two of them, I fully admit. But at the same time, Indiana Tech, they're going to start things off here solid. Again, rotating the back is Reggie able to grab that 100, looking for the opportunity to kick back. Indeed, there is a teammate now looking for a setup opportunity out there at first. Dalton, however, going to slow things down. And indeed, the Comets taking a little bit more time. Always love to see a team that is patient with their play. And indeed, the Comets seem to be just that.
You're seeing a lot more of this concerted back passing and lateral passing that's happening between all of the Warriors. Indiana Tech knows that they can be very mechanical, and so they can either use a quick wave dash to get themselves some extra speed, or they can be looking for a teammate to kind of hand it off to. It's like working a bit of rugby. Well, I'm going to be questioning. I want to see this replay. Where did the defender go? Because they were there for a second.
Yeah, it popped sky high, but indeed right there, I think there's about a pixel left between players. I fully admit I thought I saw the same thing, and I don't know if that's been happening a fair bit in game. It's like you swear, did they just phase through me? But at the end of the day, it's 1-0 in favor of the Warriors.
It doesn't help when every game in the world that you play just all patches at the same time. Maybe some network stuff. T. Saban was actually the one that leaked early, so they want to get their team back to even kosher keel at 1-1. Bluey didn't have the best collection. In fact, I think he barely see the orange streak begin. Ends up dropping right into an opportunistic Comet. So we're tied up.
And that's always a kind of a struggle, right? You're like, oh goodness, I've done this a billion times, and then it kind of dies. Just you set up the opposition as well. But hey, at the end of the day, long series. I mean, even though it's a best of three, I fully admit it is a moment where you've got the time to settle on it. I think a little bit more, but I will give all credit to the Comets. They have really kind of shadowed everything that the Warriors have done really well, just denying them any opportunity to get comfortable to show off the Mechie-Mechs that we've seen thus far.
This is what I mentioned before. When a team is able to challenge up into the general possession of Indiana Tech, that's when things get a little bit scarier. Flip Preset is collected underneath Reshi. He was actually aiming to do a floor pinch on top of it. Velocity will bring that one to the backboard. Both defenders in a bad spot, but Velocity kind of expected a touch to be forthcoming. And when one never did, then they kind of had a last chance dive at it. Velocity's on the other side, and that connection all night long, Monkey Shines, they were able to get the lead back.
Loving that right there. Stretching the field out a little bit, taking some time, and you get everybody scrambling out there for the Comets, meeting in the middle, but just far enough off for the Warriors to reclaim that lead. 2:46 left to go. Need to continue putting the pedal to the metal.
Reshi's going to be the lone man back, and he's going to have to back it on up. He's got a full tank of boost, and this is already directly under fire. This is what Comets are actually doing really well, and what I was calling on Rowan to be able to do. It is get in the face of the Warriors, because that is when they are at their most vulnerable. And for Indiana Tech, if they're going to go as mechanical as they like to be, and they want to have basically kind of a attitude, ego-driven possession every time they touch the ball, they need to make sure those gaps are basically sealed tight behind them and around them. Aiming for the fender, Blue will take the ball, and this one will be stuck now in the back corner of the Comets.
And I will say sometimes that is a struggle for a lot of teams that are very mechanically inclined. As you throw that bully ball in there, the bumps, the demos, sometimes that can be a struggle. And at the end of the day, you find yourself not being able to do the short form stuff that you know and love. And that can kind of sit in the back of your skull thinking, again, why the heck can't I do what I've done a billion times, but still able to maintain the lead for the time being. Are the Warriors a sent away able to get that 100? Is now going to be able to slow things down. Is Bluey coming across mid, set up over for Reggie, but just a touch off and sent sky high. And I will say, I really appreciate what Reggie's been able to do. Got to see him in SSA there for a fair bit. However, and as if on cue, thank you, good sir. Appreciate it. Always like to feel like you're talking about a relevant subject. And indeed, Reggie looking quite relevant, able to get the reset and the stall and the follow for good measure.
That is just fantastic work. Showing the experience that you were kind of mentioning it from across continental vibes and waves and, well, an entire ocean, bringing both of them in velocity across the bay. And now Indiana Tech will improve upon their lead and get some extra insurance thereupon. Bluey sees themselves kind of becoming like, all right, you're hither thither, but you can really exist between both Reshi and velocity. Doesn't have to be a forced position. Reshi, again, slowing the entirety of this pitch to an absolute crawl. Bluey will play back as third man. Seems like the discipline has really been able to be forced up here into defense to make sure that none of their opponents get a free look at the back third.
Yeah, I'm liking that, and I'm also liking a little bit looser feeling. It looked like that the boys might have been a little bit tight there in the early going, but at the end of the day, hey, maintain patient, much like the opposition. And again, I will go back to that. I will give Comets all the credit in the world. That patient play, oh, so important. I mean, and in Rocket League in general, but especially when you get to this point where you are playing players of this caliber, it is critical. But at the end of the day, you got to score as well. And right now, only one to the team hat trick of Indiana Tech. We tick ever closer towards 30 seconds left to go in this one, able to pop this one away for the Comets. Big part instead, Reshi kick back, and I do believe the Warriors may be killing a little bit of clock to be able to advance. Maybe one last gasp effort for the Comets if they can possibly take over. Not in that case. Popped up high, the setup opportunity, but no, stolen back by the Comets, and indeed, Double F, I think we got this one in the bag.
This one should be rest assured, and you know, I've never seen a Comet explode before, but I'm here to see it at least right now as the demos came aplenty, and Indiana Tech slowed everything down by sending it to the sky. This one will be dropping out. Reshi still wants the bonus club. They're actually going to run away from it. Indiana Tech not quite running away, but honestly in full control. 3-1 to take game number 1, and a lot of Reshi, not all the time, but he's 100% between his 1 goal and his 2 assists for Indiana Tech.
Now, we're not saying any billion today, but you know what I'm seeing that I do like? A single goal for each and every individual. Teamwork, fine work there by Reshi, almost with the playmaker as well. So yeah, we got to see, we talked about the free play mode. We got to see when you're going out there, you're listening to a podcast or whatever against Roan a little bit earlier on, but then settled in, looked comfortable. Like I said, a little bit tight there in the early going, but able to calm down and look far more fluid there in the latter half.
Well, now this team, they found the Comets. Comets are a very deep program. I've gotten to see UTD for several years. Got to see it from the UT of Arlington. Definitely, this is one of those squads that kind of CRL, they were like, oh yeah, it's always going to be the Comets. Different way, different year, different time. Everything always rotates through, and people eventually have to get a degree or run out of tuition money. So what they've done so far is actually kind of limit the overall capacity and at least the output of what the Warriors want to do. But the Warriors, really, like you've mentioned, they're not trying to force the issue. They're simply aiming to kind of control pace. So if we get a bit more physicality from out of the Comets, things could be a bit squirrely off the backboard, and everyone's already rushing there for the Warriors.
And to Comets, their physicality, what I will give them. I always love teams that are ferocious, that, you know, give you a couple shots to the jaw, but at the end of the day, would love to see the Warriors provide. I think that would be proper branding. We got to see that a little bit from the boys. Like I say, I love the Becky Mex, I love the short form, but at the end of the day, if you are able to provide that 1 demo, 2 demos, everybody removing themselves from the pitch, whether they want to be or not. But again, Indiana Tech opportunity to flick this one away. Sure enough, set up, looking to get the clear off the backward as well, set back, but no, again, the Warriors taking their time. We saw this previously. I'm loving this, just knowing that, hey, you got tons of time, you know what you're capable of. Kind of treat it almost like an overtime stance in a way where you are not stressed whatsoever about the clock. Just feel confident that you'll be able to get where you want to go.
That double demo and then that bump sequence from out of Comets was actually the most threatening that they've looked this entire time. I was I was insecure in the moment, thinking that maybe they'd be able to get that goal. Velocity will take a pooch step back. That's the Dwayne Wade special right there. Back in the day, if you guys didn't see in the early 2000s, he did this to everybody. Wait it out, be able to ball it out, and they get it right beyond T. Saban.
Gorgeous touch to kind of see. We kind of think, big part, words are hard sometimes, kind of thing that we see out there on the 1v1 pitch. And when you are able to have that level of calm on the goal line, again, top tier players, the only ones that really are able to collect that time and time again. So 1-0 right now in favor of the Warriors. Again, best of 3 situation, ladies and gentlemen. They're able to get the dub. We do continue on best of 5 later in the evening. But again, a moment where the Comets understand what's on the line, and I do believe patient play, like you said, and that ferocity may come back to assist them a little bit here, but yet to see it as Velocity kicking this one sky high, looking to keep this one moving are the Comets.
Every one of the Warriors is at all places at all times. Oh my goodness, look at the bulldozing technique. You get Velocity just cruising between a couple of Comet players. This is going to come down from the upper corner, and Reshi didn't overcommit. They were already being told by Bluey that they've got this one, and Reshi's going to be here to collect, to play as Guardian, and then just send it aside. Everything that the Indiana Tech is really fluidly moving up and down this pitch with has a means and a mode to really just not overextend. Reshi hoping that they can maybe do it themselves. This is going to find an open back line. Can Bluey adjust? Well, Dalton's going to get there first.
Like I said, Indiana Tech trust the process, folks. We know we only see one, but you got to believe, you got to have faith, and indeed, no reason that the Indiana Tech fan base should not have faith in these individuals. And I think we saw the Comets bunching up, not too bunched up, but just playing very, very focused, right? Kind of in a smaller bit of space. Indiana Tech now stretching things out a little bit, and we've seen what their shots are like, truly on point, those confident shots. So I'm liking this, and just again taking their time are the Warriors. But again, got to give UTD all of the credit, all of the love, and their ability to strike back for all the patience that all of the love about that I will give Indiana Tech. I mean, UTD, they're hanging in there.
They're waiting for one man to miss. This is definitely a challenge and square up, and did you make the mistake? Can I punish it style from both of these teams? And it feels like UTD has actually been able to match up with Indiana Tech. Now, the mechanics aren't as pure, and when they do find this one for the backline, you already have a one-man rush out. That's going to force Dalton to have to leap, but look how there's no boost for his teammates. Both T-Saban and Zora kind of sucking on fumes, while Dalton has everything from that back corner. For all intents and purposes, that did give him at least enough time. Zora and Dalton should be able to handle this challenge, especially as it rotates in from this near side wall. We're approaching around 80 seconds now, Monkey Shines. Indiana Tech has just a single goal. That was nearly a pick of the pocket by Reshi, but still is falling short of the net.
It is precarious and meeting the minds by two of the Warriors, and it is moments like that the Comets will happily take advantage of. However, have to actually get possession to take advantage of it in the first place. Looking for the pop away is T-Saban, indeed has possession for the time being. It skips high off the bench. We're in a minute remaining, quite possibly, in this series. Comets struggling a fair bit again, being patient, but eventually the clock becomes your best friend, turning into your arch nemesis. And that appears to be where things are going for the Comets, at least for the time being. Dalton sent back down to kick away, but again, there is a Warrior to deny.
Every time I'm watching Bluey, especially from that near side post, I was wondering where the comms exactly were going to be from rotating this corner. Look how there's no boost, zero boost, and that is when they capitalize on it. In that sincere moment, hit it with the VOD or otherwise, right now, there is nothing. That corner boost was so necessary for someone to be able to challenge, and finally they ripped one through Velocity, found themselves on the near side wall with Bluey, and that's when Comets strike.
You gotta trust, right? You can say, hey, we absolutely know there's gonna be a time. However, Velocity said, do you remember a split second ago where you had that hope? Didn't it feel good? Didn't it feel fantastic right down in your heart of hearts, in your soul of souls? I got terrible news. We are right back where we were a moment ago.
Oh, the mental boom to just play them for fools, to have them come all the way upfield, serve them a nice dinner, and then give them dessert. Well, guess what? You have indigestion now, so you have to deal with those pains for later. Trying to find anything right now at this point, late term, as everything's getting cleaned up and a little bit more disciplined, is in Indiana Tech. But we're approaching final seconds. UTD's got to find something. Warriors just got to put it away. This is a big goal. Dave.
Goodness gracious me. What an absolutely sublime save. And a couple of opportunities there at the NMM, but at the end of the day, it will touch. And I'm not going to lie, a little bit of loss of enamel, a moment or two there. But at the end of the day, hey, they were able to solidify was the defense. But my goodness, that save at the end there. Absolutely. Bravo. I got to give a clap for that.
You got some good tests that came through this one. Hopefully it's good enough, because they do start moving through, and I believe that the other one hasn't been reported as of yet. My assumptions is that Bruton Parker is going to be up next. Again, they've been able to handle these series. It will be a best of 5. Sometimes they drop a 3-1. I think in recent history it's been a 3-0. So it's not like that there is really a scare here, but that last little bit where Bluey was able to make that collected save off their own crossbar starts being that reminder, like, okay, hold on. Job's not done until the clock hits 0.
This is true, and again, things have gotten progressively more and more difficult. And again, all the love for the Comets, played that very patient playstyle, but at the end of the day, just a little bit better when it mattered most were the Warriors. And you talk about the club that I think anticipate seeing that being Manny, Milk, and Cass. One thing I really enjoy about teams like this, talk about Milk. Milk is an individual that I was able to see in the RLCS and a 1v1 open qualifier. So one of those moments where you're going to have to be aware if there's a breakaway, you truly got to honor what he can do. So when I came into this one as well, when I was having a look at the rosters, that was one that I saw. And I will say as well, Manny and Milk, these are individuals that played alongside Exiled in like the Frost 3v3 tournaments, and Manny was playing in the North American 2v2 3v3 and Jump Champions Road tournaments. So I feel there's a lot of experience here that, if that's the case, if that's what we're talking about, will truly test the Warriors, and certainly a wake-up call there against the Comets.
It's got to be something that's going to keep them really pristine, really frosty, and good to go, because whatever ends up on the other side, they don't want to think too far in the future. It could be either Tigers, Michigan State. Heck, they even got Ohio State hanging out over there, maybe even Conestoga. There is 4 very capable teams. One of them is painted green and definitely is a big meanie. This is also a position in the bracket where they fell last time. Gotta give it tech, yeah. Gotta have the Warriors moving through. We're gonna be taking a break. We got BO3 done, BO5 on the precipice and on the horizon here with the semifinals just around the corner. We'll be back in just a little bit. Welcome back, everyone. It's time to upgrade. We go from best of 3 to the good old last 2 fingers on the hand. It's a best of 5 time now as we're in the semifinals here for the CRL Open Numero Uno. I'm Hell Monkey Man alongside Monkey Shines. Monkey Shines, we got to go into this one. This is the last time this is the stopping point whenever they faced off against, I believe it was Michigan State at the time, before those guys ultimately kind of upset in the winners final against Concord. Well, now they should be able to take care of business, but they got to make it like it's business.
Yeah, well, you talk about now having one for the thumb, and definitely have to treat it for the gravity of the situation. I've already brought this team up a couple of times. I was looking forward to him. Honestly, wanted to see him play. Well, I get my wish. And indeed, yep, this was the original departure moment, but you can't go back. That was done. This is now a completely different timeline, as far as we're all aware. And yeah, you just got to treat every single series with the respect and understanding that you know where you're at now. But again, game by game, not even series by series, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what the guys have for this one.
This should be fun too. The Barons have, they've been a general challenge when it comes to the Warriors out of Indiana Tech. One that they've been able to beat pretty consistently. I believe one of the last times they actually faced against them was at the Scenic City Land, where they came into, I think, a top 3 finish. So good to see them at least take on their demons there, but got to make sure that they do so here, because this is the crux of the situation, y'all. So check this one out. This semifinal is worth a heck of a lot, because if you win here, you are guaranteed no less than at least 1 point, which sounds like nothing. Well, actually, no, sorry, 2 points. 2 points is a big deal, because when you have 5, 3, 2, or 1, 2 is, well, it's a big part of that. So let's go to game number 1 here with this best of 5.
And 2 is more than 1, or so I've been told. But yeah, we were talking about the necessity. Checks out. We talked about the scarcity of these points as well. So we talked about as well, just being able to get that single solitary, I think is a huge dub in and of itself. But indeed, these stakes, they do raise, and I would say arguably the competition may as well there. But Bruton Parker, I got that one right back down to Indiana Tech. We're going to carry out across Milk, however, will stall. And again, I mentioned it a little bit earlier on, Milk, a 1v1 aficionado, but Rashi kicking up the scoring for the Warriors. And at the end of the day, one person is one person. You need full 3, and Manny can only watch. Fine setup and fine follow.
It was a nice interception, as well as just looking for an opportunity to be able to bounce off of them because of the interior fender challenge. That is a lot of what Reshi likes to do. And this is going to be another freebie. No! Oh my goodness. Manny catching that one and catching wind. That one was a laser on target. The first minute, currently owned by Indiana Tech. They have not really let the Barons move upfield.
Yeah, I'm liking this, and bit by bit, minute by minute, and it does appear that we may very well, and again, don't want to cast a curse the heck out of this, may have ventured kind of, sort of, possibly into locked-in territory, and certainly I think in those early rounds, you can afford yourself, you know, a little bit of grace to say, all right, well, we fully expect to go out there and pop off, and pop off largely they did. A couple of moments against the Comets to maybe we raised an eyebrow or two, but at the end of the day, they've been able to take this early 1-0 lead. Let's see if they can maintain.
Got a lot of popcorn being spilled. I believe that's by Manny as he streaks along that corner. And Bluey is doing a lot with very little. So you're seeing kind of the boost situation really rear its ugly head against the Indiana Tech Warriors, because they have been at the mercy a time or two of teams that know how to rotate and take away resources on this very boost-driven game. Milk hoping to find themselves on top of velocity as they take that next extra effort. And then there's a big demo. So that will equalize as they make to move upfield. Less than 3 minutes to go. This game is kind of sprinting away from us right now.
It is, and sometimes things slow down a little bit. It kind of felt like that UTD game was kind of a slow, methodical pace to it, but this one, far more of a sprint than a marathon, but hey, I am here for it, and I think, honestly, a fast game, I think lends itself well to Indiana Tech, the way that they enjoyed the mechs.
I do like that speed, but it's also been about that clock getting away and not having a lot of possession in the latter minute. The first minute was all them. That's a shot directly on target. Milk will navigate the interior part of that near side post, making sure from the undercut of that upper shelf, they take that one through. That came up short. They saw Manny. They were going for a placement shot. Now it's an awkward situation for Bluey, but not awkward when you got a teammate to be able to cover up your back line. So 2:10 beyond midway at this point. Monkey Shines, Indiana Tech, seeing their offense kind of stuttered after what was a good start.
Yeah, I got to tell you, sir, that moment, that was kind of, again, an enamel buster, at least for a moment. It's moments like that where, again, you talk about an unorthodox team, just at the end of the day, a more, I guess, fundamentally sound team at times. But Indiana Tech, not going to be able to follow up on that one. And I'm not going to lie, it's moments like that honestly, I expect them to have a shooter back there. But like you said, it was just straight up off. So catch and carry there for Bluey, and Bluey adding another one. Says, hey, at the end of the day, forget the shots. I got a little something for you. Talk about the short form. I got it for you right here, my guy. It is a slow stall and the pop away. And for all of the fantastic defense we have seen from BPCU, that was not it.
Cats about 10 feet too deep in their own net as they came from that near side post, but it was the quality of carry from out of Bluey that was able to get it across the line as they had that nice flip reset in their back pocket. And it's about making sure that those shots develop all the way to the final muster and the final grip that you have on that ball. Bluey's going to be the one to catch it. Pressure him is actually under fire and under duress as he will run out of boost. He's looking for small pads. Velocity taking out kind of that middle of the back third. You see him aiming to harass against Manny. He's right up in his grill. Milk might be able to capitalize, so say the rest of the Barons, but they're stopped in the stripes.
So it makes total sense to me, honestly, because Manny's the individual that I personally see as the bigger threat. But the problem is we were talking about that 1v1 situation. Well, Milk was almost right there and has been able to pop that right in front of him. That just needs a little bit of possession and it will make you pay. So cannot afford for that too often. But I got to say, I'm not hating the idea of just getting up in Manny's grill, forcing him to do something while he's uncomfortable when you've got an entire team here of Warriors who obviously are feeling quite comfortable. But that one spikes out right in front of the net. Bruton Parker looking for a little something, anything, maybe a wing and a prayer, or possibly just any old thing right now to try to be able to find a level of confidence, a level of positivity. Velocity, no, that one not going to be converted.
They were hoping to have that immediate turn capitalize on the moment. Manny gets a big demo as well as they have to go through a Warrior. That challenge will give yet another one over to Bluey. I believe that young man's on the Hattie right now.
Indeed. Wearing blue and seeing blue are the five folks from Bruton Parker right now. Indeed, tip them if you got them. And Indiana Tech, they settle in. And again, there were moments, right? There were moments we saw it against UTD, but at the end of the day, what I love to see is a team that is able to reset and readdress, and certainly the Warriors have been able to do that. So, hey, game number one, largely, I'm calling it a dub. Not just a dub, but also a dub in general.
With the 1 second on the board and with 3 up, it would take some kind of mechanical, mathematical miscue to really find anything other than that. But Indiana Tech, a job well done. Actually, I was completely wrong. It was Reshi who was able to get one of those. Yeah. So, hey, you know what? 100% involvement regardless from out of Bluey. So this team overall, I believe it was 8 shots to the 6 that Brune Parker put up, but answering nearly every single one of those in kind with a save. And they got a couple of demos to their own efforts. So good looks to kick this one off with Indiana Tech. And it looked like they honestly just got to play their game.
Yeah, look comfortable. And while we didn't get the hat trick, too, before we get the team hat trick, but there was a savior on there, so all the credit in the world for the excellent defensive play. And it is that defensive play that will afford Indiana Tech quite possibly an opportunity to grab another series and straight out the gate. Velocity doesn't make us wait very long. About 4 seconds into this one, off the kick. Did the Warriors get on the board?
Oh, the fake by Velocity, just looking Cass square in the face and holding one hand right and then bop him in the left ear. Wow. Okay, so what a way to get it going. And then they have the delay on the second man. Bluey is suddenly surrounded by 2 people that don't have a lot of boost, so he's not at odds right now. You had called, I think, on Milk's number a time or two if we're going to be seeing something different, because Manny looks fantastic, but definitely I feel like there's times that Milk can maybe make the Warriors sweat.
Absolutely, and I think even clearing out a lane for him for those 1v1 moments, maybe a way that Parker wants to go. Demo Memo passed out, Fresh Ink in the perimeter, but at the end of the day, no collection to be had. Reshi sent Sky High coming off the ceiling, but unfortunately sent away by the aforementioned. Reshi with the dash able to grab that mid-100, kick back up and over, and we are again seeing the entirety of the pitch looking to be utilized by the Warriors in that case. Not going to be had, and said pop tie now by Indiana Tech, and again, Double M. It does appear that they go back to that rush moment across the pitch. We saw how that speed helped them previously in our game number 1. It looks like they're heading right back there.
You have to have a plan in mind, and honestly, just the adaptability of this team. They never really have something down on the napkin unless they need to be able to have something that has to get through a complex agent. For them, run it down, aim for the 50, and seeing if they can be able to slam this one to the back of the net. That corner couldn't have been more populated. 2 cars, a ball, an explosion, and a pizza place. Indiana Tech doubles their lead.
There is a mindset when you go out on the pitch, and it's not necessarily, hey, am I going to score or how I'm going to score? It's like, when I do, pause, Reshi, appreciate you, my guy, indeed it is the team hat trick, but just to finish my thought, go out there and say, it's a matter of time. When I look good and when I make you look silly, Velocity living that life right now.
Right on top of Cass. Cass, unfortunately, met the better end of a great warrior, and that was just right on top of them. They don't give you space. You never get to breathe for too long without it feeling like you're having to go right back to 2020. And, man, COVID right around that corner. With 80 seconds, that previous game felt like it just spun off the clock, Monkey Shines. One will come back over to the side of Brune Parker. The Barons get one, but this one has been almost just half of that game completely.
Yeah, Manny, taking it the distance, but yeah, there's definitely a speed and that element on the side of Indiana Tech. But even that lone score, it seems like something the Warriors are saying, fine, okay, if you want it, we're happy to give it to you, because again, at the end of the day, we fully believe that we can go out there and play the game that we want to play, and it is an inevitability. That one not going to be by Velocity, but again, it feels like a matter of time. Not going to be able to kick that one back. Looking for the technical backflip. It is not there, as Cass now taken to the sky, cutting across, maybe some bumpering to be had. Instead, it is set away. Velocity kicks this one high, all the boost in the whole wide world. The setup back down. Are they going to roll it? No, just off, and not going to be able to follow our Warriors.
3 times in triplicate. 3 times they went into bluer grasses, and not in Kentucky. That one just right on the other side of BPC. And 3 times that they didn't quite make it over the line. Indiana Tech has had threats. They forced the Barons to be just looming large like lords deep into their castles and into their courts. But unfortunately for BPC, that's all they've been able to see. For Indiana Tech, they are getting up and down this pitch. It is a vacation home wherever there is grass. That's a fantastic bump attempt. Reshi trying to lead the charge, doesn't have any boost. They'll grab it from the midfield. Milk is trying to get a bump, a demo, anything to disrupt what the Warriors have defensively and in this rotation.
Yeah, something again, I'll go back to that. And in ones, I know it's a different mindset, obviously different game mode entirely, but if you can get those bumps, those demo, Oh my goodness, lays out for it. Does Milk anything but expired. Is that defense still 3-1? But again, just happy to play full volleyball across the entirety of the pitch from one end to the other, back and forth, able to kill some time. A little bit of hot potato as well. Manny looking to pop this one high. The setup opportunity, no buff to be had in net. Instead, Indiana Tech on the rush here one more time. Can they possibly get the shot on set high? And again, Bruton Parker just put in so many situations where they're time and time again under pressure, not giving them any opportunity to breathe on the Warriors.
And every time that they finally get something going, it's a very readable situation. Now that you had one that was kind of a breakaway, they're trying to do the same thing here. Velocity's on an island and thus needs some assistance, and they get it in the form of Bluey, who again is coming into their net instead of having to rotate from beyond the lateral edge of their posts. So it's good looks whenever Indiana Tech makes these saves in these moments from awkward situations, and they can do so either from the guy that's already up there or one that's coming back. Bruton Parker, though, they're left with so many limited options and tries and opportunities, and all of them close so quickly. 60 seconds now on the clock. Indiana Tech, though, will see Milk finding another. This lead is not safe.
We saw a lot of very deep shots as well, but instead it is the flick away, and you gotta honor it. It wasn't the prettiest in the whole wide world, but certainly affected the setup, and Milk does follow. Buck 01 left to go here in game number 2. Again, if the Warriors are able to grab this one, Bruton Parker would require the full reverse sweep. Don't know if the brooms are out there. Don't know if there's any BPCU branded brooms, but if they are, at the end of the day, might need to spit them on their head, but it will take a little bit more than that, says the 5 folks from Indiana Tech. Set up, knocks it down. It is Rosie, courtesy of the dime by Bluey.
Tough defensive effort right there out of Cass. I think they've been on the receiving end of that more than they really would love to count. And Indiana Tech might get another one. Reshi with the set, and adding some extra hurt to the locker might in fact happen. Bluey will get them to 5. So what was a very close venture, 3-2, suddenly busts open with a couple of extra goals.
Yeah, it certainly felt like there was confidence for Bruton Parker, but it was fragile, and unfortunately it gets smashed on the ground. So 42 seconds left to go in this one. Indiana Tech will be one step closer towards advancing, unless the craziest thing in quite possibly the history of CRL ever happens. But 36 seconds left to go, and I gotta say, Double M, I'm digging it. I'm digging the style. They appear to be indeed locked in.
Yeah, this team is definitely, they know where they had to kind of narrow the gap defensively. They understand that they get a little bit squirrely, a little bit, carefree at times, but they've not gone for anything that has been obtusely a mistake or just in error. You're finding a 2v1, navigating it pretty darn well is Velocity. So another one of those big challenges that they need to make sure they're ready for going into game number 3. It's going to be a 2-0. It's going to be a match point. It's going to be Indiana Tech setting themselves up to possibly sweep into the winners finals. We get to find out, but this one is signed, sealed, delivered as we move on to the midway part of this BO5.
Yeah, and it has just been a swarming effort. Have a look at this here yet again. Everybody almost getting the double A in terms of goals, getting a couple demos in there. Velocity, I see you, my guy, just making a couple, shots down in the margin for brownie points. But shot chart, loving it. At the end of the day, just Indiana Tech able to beat Bruton Parker to where they want to go time and time again. And at the end of the day, you got half a 10-piece to a double over on the opposite side. Loving it. IT, able to get that dub. Looking for one more.
It's going to be just one more, and then on the in case you guys were wondering exactly what our bracket is kind of looking like, it was Conestoga that took down UANL. Those Tigers forced them all the way to game number 3. That was one of those teams we faced last time into the open qual to try and get to the split number 1, and they were feisty. Good to see them do so, but it's Conestoga versus the Spartans of Michigan State. Winner of this one, if the Warriors stay the course, will be the opponent that they face off into that winners finals, again, to try and guarantee themselves some big points. Oh, the follow, Cass. He's going to have to leave him for the Warriors to just go up into this defensive half.
And that requires a fair bit of confidence to be sitting right in front of pace, a fair bit of ice in the veins as well to feel comfortable in those spots. Many would not have that level of patience, but indeed, back and forth, this one does go here in the early going, and the way that we have often seen it, Indiana Tech, well, the way we have often seen it is not that. Cass able to crack the goose egg for Bruton Parker. So finally, BPCU able to find some success in the early going. Let's see if the Warriors can respond.
This is the first lead that the Barons of Bruton Parker have been able to find here in this series. So it would be nice, I think, if you're a BPC fan, for them to maybe find some level of success to continue and multiply with that. Ooh, the takeaway. You had mentioned that Milk might be one of those players to really kind of focus in on. They're going to try and isolate Bluey in this moment. They knew that they had the turnaround that didn't work out for them. Reshi aiming for the double tap. Can't get there in time to be able to handle Manny. This comes off ceiling. Bluey's there to try and snipe it, but it's sent aside by Cass. But look how Indiana Tech is just flying up with full confidence now.
And I will say this, I have to step back here for a moment, Barons. I see you. I see you on that convoy attended buff demo go, whatever. At the end of the day, I fully appreciate the enthusiasm. I don't care what colors that you are sporting, but indeed, Indiana Tech returning where they have been comfortable with this speed. And hey, we saw it against UTD and Indiana Tech. It just, again, it really feels almost Thanosian in terms of inevitability. But again, we're getting at the point in the bracket where you certainly cannot suggest that wins and losses can or have to happen or anything like that. But again, Indiana Tech, I gotta say, Double M, just like you said, the speed, it is off the charts.
It very much is. But you get BPC, they can do the exact same thing. This challenge right here by Milk. Milk has been the main advocate for success here from the Barons. And if they do not get a touch onto that, if they do not deny Bluey from being able to make that undercut extension at the midline of the map, then you're seeing that one go forward and maybe anything else from the Warriors begin to be successful. BPC, in opposite, they're down 0-2. And sometimes these end up slipping, but they don't want to let it be to become a pattern nor a rhythm that the Barons sit well with. But that becomes 3 with less than 3 to go.
And this is the challenging part, right? I mean, you've been able to get to that 2-0 situation. You're feeling good, but oh, wait a minute. And let's say hubris is the name of the game. Can't get comfy by any stretch of the imagination, as you say, but still well over, I mean, darn near close to 3 minutes. Plenty of time for the Warriors to respond. But that's one thing I saw when Milk was taking on Kevin as we got further on into day number 2 of that NA qualifier. Just a ferocious individual. And I will say this as well. Kevin was just absolutely flying through people, but then came up upon Milk, and Milk was an individual that as the series went along, he did not win it, but he got more and more ferocious as it went.
So if you give them time to develop, that's something to kind of look into. And it looks like Milk has, in fact, settled in. They've gotten the identity of Indiana Tech, and they know where they can disrupt them. Bluey's going to try and change the course. Cass, he plays with that. A little bit of extra time, and they will tackle through. So they find the first one. Does this end up being a wash, rinse, repeat, but an opposite of what BPC was trying to do to Indiana Tech just literally a game ago?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Again, I fully appreciate Blue Ball as much as the next individual, but I think a little bit too much commitment to the aggro style here. But still, at the end of the day, got to climb up that ladder in a world where we talk about a score every minute. Certainly something the Warriors are capable of if the early portion of this evening is any indication. But indeed, it is the demo. Then he flicked this high. And again, the Warriors looking for an opportunity from high to low. It will not find the back of the net. However, Bruton Parker able to swarm. And again, right now the clock not on the side of the Warriors, and we'll get the send one more time. Will BPCU.
That second effort to be able to get those demos and those bumps, they are reading the next man up. They see the first man, they make that stop, and then they see, okay, what is the layered attack by which Indiana Tech is trying to bring to our front door? They bring one just away, and I think there was a man sweeping out. I want to see how this goal ended up going through, obviously off the hood of one, but I think they had Bluey that was helping out by getting rid of Manny. What a bump.
Well, look, you got to give love one side, you got to give love for the other. Yeah, and a lot of people look at that and say, oh, that's cringe. Oh, I don't like that. At the end of the day, look, you're looking to win some games, and looking to knock this one up is Indiana Tech. But top of this one, sky high out, is Cass looking for the sweep away, and Bruton Parker on their back heels.
Manny, does this end up going through? They cannot get there in time. Oh, I love that goal explosion. Just in time for spooky season, but also just in time for Indiana Tech to end up seeing it as they bump straight into Velocity. Velocity is like, look, I can't get it. If you can, cool, but otherwise this might be going in.
physics be a harsh mistress sometime. And in case you get, Milk has made a living in some cases courtesy of sweet lady physics, or in this case, harsh lady physics, I suppose. But still, we take ever closer towards a buck remaining left to go in this one. Indiana Tech finding themselves one more time down 2. But again, patience, use that word a fair bit today. Name of the game for the Warriors. Still, I will say, Brute and Parker, their ferocity, their aggression. I don't care what movie you prefer. We prefer it, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger. At the end of the day, they are being a terror on multiple occasions here in our game number 3.
Not quite a Freaky Friday as we're all the way here on a Wednesday, but still they can apply that same kind of scare tactic in the middle of the week. Indiana Tech might have themselves just a minor fright at this moment in time. Cass sending this one outside over to a rotating Milk. Milk will immediately collect it with 35 seconds to go. Indiana Tech looking for maybe a last gasp chance to take this game, tie it up if they can. They're going to have to score very quickly. A nice floor pinch, but there was already a man buried deep behind that post.
And honestly, that's something that Bruden Parker's been able to do really, really well. Really plant a person far back in the goal, and just right when you think you could maybe follow up, no, you've got somebody there to be able to send it away. Something so very effective. This defense of Bruden Parker settling in game number 3, and indeed will be able to provide the Warriors their first L of the evening. And again, another example of that fantastic, amazing, whatever word you want to call to describe it. Bruden Parker able to deny a sweep. Let's see if they can continue on with that elegant, masterful defense in game number 4.
So we're actually going to be waiting on, I believe it was Reshiram that went to go change the car. Maybe they didn't like what they were playing and just change the field, get a different skin, see what you can do here in the next 60 seconds as we go between games. Definitely the opening salvo of getting a couple of those goals and then building that third played absolute favor and advantage over to the Barons. So BPC, this is a team, obviously, that has been taken care of by the Warriors, but because they've been able to be beat, they've reviewed a lot of that extra film. And if you're in Indiana Tech, and I know that Bob is in the back over there, you got to keep him frosty. You got to keep him focused. And he's probably, all right, hey, we took our first L of the evening. Not a big deal. Let's get our heads back in the game.
If they were not fully awake before, I feel very confident that is not the case. I don't know if Tara Gardner or whatever has been brought up, but I feel very confident the eyes are quite wide in the here and the now. But the good news is, if you are the Warriors, you need a scant lone victory to be able to advance. And you talk about sometimes going in the back of the wardrobe. People might call it placebo or anything like that, but it genuinely can make a huge difference. You might just feel faster. You might feel a little bit more mechy, just a little bit cleaner. Sometimes that does happen. And hey, whatever is necessary for the boys to get the dub.
You're not going to be improving your mechanics from one game to the next. You just simply want to have the energy and you want to have the vibes, as it were, to make sure that you compete at the highest level. Also, as an update, as was already seen into the chat, Conestoga did fall to the Spartans out of Michigan State, but in a 3-1 fashion. So if it does end here in favor of Indiana Tech, both series would have ended the exact same. First minutes, Cass aims for control. They have a flip reset. Velocity will cover down for Bluey, and BPC has honestly been knocking at the door.
Now, to be fair as well, I mean, there's something I think almost liberating about a loss. You say, what the heck are you talking about? It's a certain pressure, right? You get farther and farther in, and people say, okay, how long are you going to be perfect? And it weighs on your shoulder. No, not have to worry about it. You are, in fact, human. You do, in fact, blink. But at the end of the day, Indiana Tech looking for one more dub to be able to advance. Bruden Parker, not about that life whatsoever, able to sort things out in game number 3. It was not pretty. There were bruises aplenty, but at the end of the day, able to get that win. And yeah, I'm curious to see if the brutality, if it continues.
The connection that I'm seeing a lot more often is anywhere that they need Milk to be. Milk definitely has filled that glue, that utility role of a player so well. But Reshi is one of those guys that you can pretty much just count on the clock. 100 seconds on the dot. Indiana Tech finally breaks this one open.
Talk about inevitability. Indeed, Reshi is inevitable. But yeah, I mean, Milk has, again, been truly a glue, not just glue, super glue in this case for Bruden Parker. But if they are going to have any hope of winning another one, they have to respond here in a hurry. But Cass, that one will not find back of the net. Popped away from Velocity over to Reshi, looking for maybe one more. The nudge up and over. Can it, might it, will it? And indeed, it can. So, got popped around. Black and blue were the Warriors previously, but now it is all blue.
There's a good leading man there. I believe that was Velocity that took the side of Cass and just did not allow them to jump nor be able to find that midline. So Indiana Tech, as soon as they find one, they collect another one, and then they start really owning the skies. Bringing it upwards, I feel like, has always been an advantage of theirs. Really just stalling out time, but then also making some of the most mechanical and daring plays. However, this is also a BPC team that is able to do exactly that. Cass with an earlier intergrade to try and make that a redirect. And Indiana Tech leaves one behind. They've been pretty sure-handed with a lot of their possessions. This is going to be a bit of a test right now as you see BPC starting to kind of narrow that line as we approach the midway mark of Game 4.
And to your point as well, you talk about the success that can be had. Mentioned that, again, Manny and Milk playing a great deal in those tournaments, quite familiar with that situation, quite familiar what each other like to do, proclivities, preferences, if you will. And Milk, the 1v1 aficionado, able to crack the goose egg for Britton Parker, not going gently into that good night.
222 on the board, and Indiana Tech, they've been eligible to at least build up to, so the insurance is now gone. The premium has to be paid to try and make it last a little bit longer. Otherwise, BPC will be knotting this one up quickly. Milk from the ceiling. They've got an extra flip. They actually got a teammate. They got two of them in the same spot. That zone is going to be very highly populated. Indiana Tech might be able to launch themselves out of here. Velocity sends a sidewall, but Milk moves their way from wall and side and onwards. So Indiana Tech has an open gap to fill. It's been Cass trying to do the same thing here for the Barons out of BPC, but with Indiana Tech, feels like they're definitely playing with fire, especially when the Inferno pops up. We're time.
Frustrating, absolutely frustrating in these moments. And again, a fine opportunity for Cass, and Cass doesn't need cash in. So $153 left to go. And again, Britton Parker not going away. Indiana Tech, their opportunity to lock things down here. Still got plenty of time to do so, but it's just definitely, there are those moments that are becoming more and more common, Double M, and I don't know, it's worrying.
Very much is. You see a minute 40 on the clock in BPC. They have been able to take the last couple. It feels like momentum and the winds have shifted in the sails. Indiana Tech, these Warriors, they're seeing three. Remember, it is not a given that BPC is a down and dusted foe. Right now, they're taking the challenge game and they are running it into Indiana Tech.
And all of the pressure for them, yeah, it's on the opposite side of the pitch. You guys are supposed to beat us, right? It's supposed to be 3-1. You're supposed to be done, right? Oh, well, that's funny because right now we're talking about a 3-2 situation, and all the pressure is on the Warriors, but they have been able to respond in many a situation. And right now, your focus is that tied 3 scenario, 3 on the board team hat trick for both of these teams. But again, Indiana Tech keeping things alive. Britton Parker, however, able to respond. Bumps again, set up right in front of that, but will be denied. The defense for Britton Parker coming up big again.
Cass doing it when they need them to the most. That is one of those players that definitely has kind of the ebb and flow of success. That's the Dutchman from this squad out of the Barons. Britton Parker, can they keep Indiana Tech out of the wings, out of the gate, out of the net for the next minute of play? Can the Warriors be able to find a challenge? Midfield line, Bluey on the outside wing. They'll take away that big boost. They don't need it. Milk is going to try for this challenge. Velocity waits for all of an extra second. That gives them time. Another demo from the back line as Reshi ends up having to come on back, and Indiana Tech is set packing again.
And again, the boys trying to get sorted out, but not being given the opportunity to breathe by the Barons. And again, that's what you got to do to take down a speedy team like this. Get up in their jaw, and indeed going to be able to get another pop are the Barons. They just need a few more seconds to be able to grab this dub. Maybe one last gasp effort the boys can possibly get the clear on. 10 seconds left to go here, ladies and gentlemen. We could be talking about a tie series with 5 even more. This one's sent away, kicked up and over. Can they clear it out? They cannot. Set sky high here yet again. Cass, that would pop back down towards terra firma. It will touch, and indeed it is 2-all.
We're going game 5, y'all. I need some tech yas in the chat. I need some go Warriors go. I need something that can inspire your team, because a 2-0 became 3 the other direction in a hurry in favor of the Barons. everyone getting one except for Velocity. That is a rare occurrence when you look at the beginning of this tournament all the way to this moment. Warriors are definitely seeing themselves needing a moment of reprieve to sit, to chill. I think they need to stand up, shake out the hands, but all right, let's get ready for the next one, because this was the mental stopping point when they played in the open qualifier just a little bit back. They've got to get themselves mentally ready.
It's really challenging as well when you find yourself in this position, because you think, oh great, here we go again. But again, right now it's not about the number of game. It's not about where you're at. It's all about just taking it game by game, bit by bit. And now honestly at this point, micro victories, right? Every 15 to 30 seconds, just focusing in on those moments and be confident, feel like it is an inevitability. And I understand that's so very challenging when you have a team that's been playing like Bruton Parker has, loving the bumpery there, but ultimately not going to be able to take advantage. Kicked away there by Milk. Milk so dangerous in these moments. Now, not going to have any opportunity to kick that one back. But again, the Warriors right now needing to find something, anything. I think ultimately Double M just being able to get on the board that very first time, maybe get a 1-0 situation. Oh, so huge would it be?
It would be the biggest save that I've seen Cass do. This Dutchman has really come alive. This is insane what Cass has been able to develop. It looked like they were being trounced by Velocity early up in this series. Since then, they've not been looked back. They get a demo. There is no extra help here. It's going to be all of Reshi. He has actually gone and through his, I think, third car change between Octane all the way to this Fennec, and even more with the paint. So they try to be able to exchange some of that with his opponent over to the goal line. A minute 15 already elapsed. This one's going to drop at the goal, but that's Milk just in a solid fundamental position. And honestly, Indiana Tech is not showing anything to BPC they haven't seen before.
Yeah, that's true. And what BPC has showed us before is just absolutely tremendous defense, taking their time. And why would you not have belief at this point? I mean, you had a team that was up 2-0, maybe just kind of, again, stretching their legs, thinking walk in the park, been anything but. All the pressure on your opposition as the demo memo pets out one more time by Velocity, pop sky high. Of course, both of these teams understanding the gravity of the situation. Don't want to spend time in the lowers. Popped away. That one going to be denied. And again, Bruton Parker just constantly having somebody back there on the goal line to deny, and it is the patient play that we saw previously. We saw from the comments, but have been able to take advantage of it to almost an exponentially better degree as Bruton Parker been.
Barons have been elevating their game to try and match what Indiana Tech has been doing. Oh, this is an awkward spot. Velocity has 2 boosts. He has to play as if he has so much more, and then eventually get Bluey involved. There is no boost right now for Indiana Tech. They must go hunting. Reshi finds themselves a big pad, and he'll be on the back line. That's a safety measure to try and make sure that Boone Parker doesn't get a free shot. They're going to tackle them. Milk is all in, but so is Bluey. He sells out. He survives the salvo, the barrage from the Barons. Manny goes down. Velocity is going to be right behind Bluey. They are living on small pads. Reshi from the outside lane. This is actually going to drop down and roll, and that gives the chance for the Warriors to now breathe.
As Milk control here yet again, and has been in that situation many a time, but this one sent high, looking to deny one more time. Oh, the Barons, but will not do it. Reshi coming in clutch, and again, I think they were more than happy with the Barons to continue to stall, to kill time, and then wait for the blink. But instead, it is BPCU who blinks first.
That is Milk trying to not allow Velocity to drop that one into the stripes. He got right up into it, but you see them careening to the side, and as soon as they hit him with the pit maneuver, they can do nothing more than go to their teammate. Milk is going to have another big save. They will not overcommit a third man, but they will bring Bluey in. An extra shot. They go from pipeline to pipeline. They're going to work this one a lot more laterally. 100 seconds to go. A berth into the winners finals. Maybe even a guarantee of at least 2 points of a coveted 11 per group. It's not a lot to share, and Indiana Tech doesn't want to give theirs away. Velocity will find a second one with 90 seconds to go.
And then I took that personally. Indeed, did not like seeing the goose egg next to his name when it comes to scores last time around. So gets clear it out. Did the defense, and again, if they're going to sit back there, by all means, get hands off, take them out of the way. But hey, we've been in 2-0 situations in this series before. We know what happened. Just keep the intensity, keep the aggression on.
80 seconds approaching. Every single second is a win for Indiana Tech as long as BPC is not scoring. Milk on the layback, and he's trying to get his team involved, seeing if this squad can continue to lean forward. But did they do enough out of the Indiana Tech side? This is some heck yeahs in the chat from all of you. I see Bluey's dad out there. Get loud. Get your son into the winners final. Get involved. All of you have been so far. 1 minute to go, Monkey Shines. They might be able to put it in with a third. They decided to go away and play more possession.
If I do not see a spam chat, I will be very disappointed in all of you as we are officially south of a minute. 2-0. They need your love. They need your support. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be shy now. Do not be shy now. As Cass is looking to set up Bruton partner for what would be an absolutely critical, absolutely mandatory shot on, but Velocity, the 5 up and over. Dangerous spot, but ultimately Bluey able to get that pop coming across mid. And an opportunity again for Indiana Tech to put the bow on this one, quite possibly. Manny in the distress instead pop back, and again right now the clock, the best friend, the biggest ally of the Warriors in the here and the now. Set back down, but gonna be snuck on by. Gonna see if that defense kicked away. Now 10 seconds left to go here, ladies and gentlemen. Indiana Tech just looking to hold down the fort, and Double M, whew, it took a bit, but at the end of the day, gonna be able to get the dub. It was not easy by any stretch of the imagination. Tip of the hat to BPCU.
This was a heck of a fight for the Barons to put Indiana Tech through, and honestly, probably a good wake-up call for the Warriors. It took a few extra games, but the Warriors eventually got there. They'll be moving on to the winners finals here for the CRL Open #1. And BPC, like you mentioned, got to give them tons of credit and some kudos for being able to force the Warriors to go that far. But Warriors, even more, short round of applause, but you got to have that goldfish memory just the same way, because they got to get ready for these winners finals against the Spartans.
And you see why I was excited about seeing that team. I mean, it is a tremendous trio, but at the end of the day, Indiana Tech, I think, expected to go along, and go along they did. But right, this is definitely a wake-up moment for the boys, just saying, hey, you can't go out there. You can't just, yeah. I mean, to a degree, yes, confidence is great, but you actually got to do the thing. So now, hey, to be fair, got over the hump as well, right? You were thinking, this is the time, this is the place, might drop. You didn't. Congratulations. We move on. Fresh start, different timeline. So that in and of itself, able to get the wardrobe change as well. Lot of positive there in game number 5. Obviously, we're looking to maybe shift on over in game number 3, but at the end of the day, a dub is a dub.
Dub is a dub. Big W's for this team right now. And the Warriors, I mean, starts with a W in the first place. It's basically living like that. So we're going to be taking a short break. Winners finals right around the corner. This is a double elimination bracket, so the job is not done even when that is done. But cheer loud and cheer proud. We'll be back in just a little bit.
Actually,
because we have Indiana Tech. But yeah,
it is a historic evening for so many reasons, good sir, and it has been a treat thus far. But we were talking, I think, a little bit before, and now I think if we were going to get this far in, I think we totally expected to see the Spartans of Michigan State out there. Both of us very familiar. I have no doubt a lot of people out there in chat very familiar with this roster. But you were mentioning Drewy, and again, Drewy, top shelf, cannot afford to give him room.
There's definitely a lot of credit that has to be given over to Hotbomb and Morvo. Obviously, both these players, they work so well around Drew, and that's what makes Michigan State a threat, to the degree that they actually were able to upset Concord when it was the winners finals in that CRL Open qual, but then ultimately lost in bracket reset form and fashion, where Concord was able to qualify into Split 1 league play. Indiana Tech, they have a lot of unfinished business. They were capitalized on so many times, and much of it was by Drewy, but Morvo is going to be the next threat to face the Warriors in their own back pitch.
Yeah, Drewy also pretty successful at the RLCS Open Qual level, playing alongside Expert and Life as part of What's Up. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think for the boys, it is a patience. You know, I do appreciate kind of a, dare I say, a cheeky nature to the play style, but needing to dial in, maybe be a bit more intentional during this series.
Gotta be careful though, because as soon as you start sitting down, Drew will take you to school. Here's the problem right here. Bluey had to stand up, and Reshi came forward, and when both Bluey and Velocity kind of followed up into that corner, you had 3 players, 3 Warriors all in the same zone. That just left Drewy an open net to shoot on.
Yeah, in the same zone, all flat-footed, and yeah, like I said, you cannot afford him that opportunity, as you well know, as I well know, as pretty much just about everybody in chat well knows, I'm pretty sure. But hey, Spartans able to get on the board first, and it will be a slog, regardless of what happens here, ladies and gentlemen. Regardless of how this series ends up, it will in fact be a slog. It will not be easier, I don't believe, for either of these teams. But for Indiana Tech, hey, focus, yeah, kind of a rough go. Is that one? See your carriage velocity. Look, all right, we sit back and we fully appreciate, ladies and gentlemen, what we just saw. Bluey, the pop away of Velocity. I got you, my guy. You need the short form. Here you are, good sir. And we're talking about a tied game. 3:13 left. Doing it with style of the Warriors.
Oh, what a snipe. What a redirect. Oh, my Lord, Velocity. That's what he does. That's what he do. And that's what the Warriors need more of. Blue is going to try and slow this down, and then he's going to bring it down with authority. Bartowski, that's 2 in a row.
I see you, boys. I see that you fully have been paying attention. I do not know what our esteemed colleague back there possibly said, but whatever it might have been, whatever it may have said, I'm loving it thus far. I mean, but to be fair as well, what level of confidence must you have to go out to perform things like that, to make that attempt that we just saw with that redirect? So good it has to be fattening. I mean, I think that really speaks well to the mental of this team. And seriously, Micah, what a response! Drury goes out there, and I'm like, no, boy, I don't know about this, but ultimately, what a freaking response! Power of friendship.
Bub must have busted out the belt and gone, Dad Bub. Do not let these Spartans put down the Warriors. Oh, Warriors in their own right. Velocity's going to carry it forward, and Morvo, even facing his own net, is going to look through his rear windshield and not try to take kindly to it. So, 3 in a row. Heck of a way to answer into this game. Michigan State, they have a sudden hole that they have to dig their way out of, and definitely don't give it to Indiana Tech to not try to bury them further.
And it definitely kind of has a heavyweight fight mentality to it, right? And you got Drury out there just absolutely smacking the Warriors across the face. Okay, fine. You want to play like that? We can absolutely play like that. So able to get the team hat trick to the 1 score, up and over rushing. No, we'll not find that one. And again, the Warriors able to get 3 in not only relatively quick succession, sir, but just the way they were accomplished, right? It's not just fundamentals. No, we got to put a flourish on these things. We indeed have to make it TikTok style for y'all to enjoy, as we are south of 2 minutes, still able to maintain. Pop that back there by Drew. Can he follow? You better. Oh, big pardon. It was Morvo. Terribly sorry. There's a reason I wear glasses, ladies and gentlemen.
This one was also a great find here by Michigan State. You had Bob that was trying to abuse him and take away any extra boost. Reshi, who had full faith, I guess, that the defensive effort out of Bluey was going to be fine, but Bluey had no boost to try and be able to pre-jump that and kind of float as an open defender. So he was very much kind of stuck to that wall. So Indiana Tech, they find 3. One after another. Michigan State does take their time. It's these momentary spurts. Velocity brought that spark of life off of that heck of a sniper redirect. But with 90 seconds to go, game is still on and live. Velocity with this collection here. Drew is trying to make this read as Opom underneath, and the Spartans receive.
I will go back to that kind of heavyweight fight mentality, right? We saw the right across the jaw courtesy of Drury, but then just a whole bunch of jabs and a pop back by Indiana Tech, but still another slug, another swipe by the Spartans. As, again, the Warriors looking to grab another one, putting them back on their heels quite possibly. Velocity kicks this one away, not going to be able to follow. Instead, it is denied. Nudge over into the corner and still double M. I am liking the energy. I am liking the effort.
They definitely aren't letting that open back line punish them too much until this moment. Drewy, let's check this one out because he's kind of in the cherry pick position. Opom sees Drewy from across the pitch and gets a little bit of extra effort as Reshi goes careening behind that ball. It finds its way into blue grass, and Drewy just has to take that extra push and find it beyond Bluey. So what was a triplicate of answered shots is now just become dead even, and this game is anything but decided, anything but known as to who in the world is going to take it.
I am also here for the Bluey v. Drewy subplot, by the way. Just going to throw that out there. But about 30 seconds left to go in this one. That one popped high. 30 seconds left to go. And again, tough spot for the Warriors, but able to walk away unscathed on that one. Morvo might be able to walk it in. And the pop pass. We are talking 4-3. So reversal of fortunes thus far. 22 ticks, though. This is a team, as you well know, in the Warriors. They can score in a hurry.
Problem is the defensive response that we've gotten out of the Spartans. Sometimes you see them with shields, sometimes you see them with spears, and this time around, Spartans, it looks like they're prepared to make their offense their best defense. Velocity looking for a 50-50. That's an open net. Drew's going to play with time. Oh, and what a fake out. They bring it back to the corner. They will burn what is so precious to the Warriors. Velocity cannot find it. That'll be basically the dagger, and Michigan State responds well with 4.
Not only a time killer, but a last gasp opportunity, a last rush. Nope, terribly sorry. Nice try. Thank you so much for coming. And that can live in the back of your head a fair bit. But hey, at the end of the day, I mean, moments, yes, moments. And then that rush was tremendous, but Michigan State not sweating it too much is, again, able to come back on a 4-goal tear. So, thought of good, but by the same token, fair bit of bad as well.
Oh, but it's all of game number 1. Games like this, especially, they have 8 goals shared between them. You get these insane guiding sweeps, 1, 3, 4. Like it's actually absurd the amount that they were streaky between these two teams, and that can kind of spell the general identity of what we've seen from Indiana Tech. They did have some level of consistency to at least be present to the defense. The problem is that the Spartans were very affluent of challenging them in their face, and there was 2 separate times that we saw in strict accord that they were able to get beyond them on an immediate kind of 50 find. One of those, I feel like a lot of people kind of look at it and they're like, that shouldn't have happened. However, it's game 1. We're Indiana Tech biased, so game 2 will be where they land.
It is, and I will say I mean, when you come up upon teams like this with this roster, with these individuals, with Drewy, I mean, we've ladled praise, and appropriately so, on him. You do so for good reason. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, it's an Indiana Tech team stream, but we fully appreciate skill and talent where we see it, and indeed, Michigan State was able to respond with that. But you're right, it is game number 1, and one of the things that I always look most to, regardless of the team, regardless of the series, is how any team who takes the L from game 1 to game 2, how they respond. Let's find out right now.
Indiana Tech needs to start quick. I want to see them completely erase that previous game and definitely bring it to muster here against Michigan State. For Michigan State, they honestly just need to keep doing what they were doing before. Double commit, triple commit. Actually, Indiana Tech in a prime position to take advantage. They call off velocity. Reshi will put something standard, and then with the follow-up, none of his teammates knew he was getting that second touch.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of that, as you mentioned, kind of that street ball mentality, and it's great because you can do things like that amazing redirect, but by the same token, I mean, it's your opportunity that you have to take care of. There will be moments against these Spartans, but you got to take advantage of each and every one of them because you don't know how many there's going to be. Meanwhile, able to generate offense, to able to generate opportunities, have the Spartans been, at least in the interim. Reshi, the setup opportunity, pops this one away, looks to sneak it past, but no lockdown defense for the Spartans.
One of the few times that Indiana Tech played safe, they kept their third man back. Sometimes Bluey would go careening and screaming directly into that goal line, especially when there's 2 and 3 extra targets trying to go for one singular ball. Reshi doesn't have any extra boost. Bluey will play back because he's the only man really between all 3 that does. Now they both pick up big boost pads. But still, Indiana Tech has not had a structured approach on how they want to bring this one upfield. Trying to pre-read them, they do so. Drew's just going to put an honest shot on target, and the communication was kind of late. Velocity eventually gets there, but also is deleted from the pitch. They have a chance to be able to make this into a foot race, and it'll be finished off. First goal goes over to the Warriors.
We saw the Spartans talk about cheeky play. Indeed, looking to clean some clocks. Have the Spartans been on this one? Looking to clear things out on the goal line. Looking to get that demo. Indeed did. But at the end of the day, called an appropriate sacrifice as the Warriors finally able to get on the board. Need to continue to pour that on.
Drewy and company feels like sometimes it's much of that. A lot of reliance to see Drewy and all the success he's had across the collegiate spaces and then kind of actuate from that. Morvo just wants to neutralize his ball. And you see Drewy kind of just jumping upon it, seeing if they can pounce quickly and force this one to stall out. A same team bump situation. Indiana Tech, though, they often are wanting to leap. And look at the demos that you're starting to see. A little bit of extra the bully ball that you've mentioned before, but they're making sure that it do not leave that back half without at least forcing some physicality.
Yeah, I fully appreciate whatever teams want to be not just feisty, not just zesty, but straight up ferocious. And the Spartans certainly not just on the menu. It is the chef special right now for the five folks at MSU as we take up closer towards halftime. Morvo looking for a setup opportunity, and indeed Drewy able to make good on it as well. Just a marvelous setup. It's not golf. Look, this is Rocket League, but I rarely see a better TF than that.
A heck of a flip reset into that guided missile that they drew over to their teammates. So tied at 1. It's never going to just be one goal that's easy. This one's going to go over the top from kickoff. Halfway now into game number 2. It was a shootout, a spear fest, just non-stop goal explosions in that first iteration. Since then, it's been about in control. Michigan State has held the majority of it. I would have to say at least a 65-35 split, as Indiana Tech has had flashes. This is going to be a nice timing moment here for Rushy. As Opbom tries to turn the corner, they bring it out to midfield. That is where the most dangerous and vulnerable spaces are right now for the Warriors.
And I was talking about the potential mental between game 1 and game 2. I see it kind of a slowdown, not getting out over their skis, not being too fast about it. Maybe a slower pace of slower tempo is what the Warriors need. And what I mean by that is not necessarily being entirely slow, not playing passive, but just being able to go from maybe a 3 to 11 in a hurry to be able to get those quick strikes in. But again, happy to bring the heavy hands are the Spartans as Velocity now looking to take control, but popped around. There will be bumps, there will be bruises, and there will be denial by the Spartans. Opbom looking to deny, but cannot at all. You see it, the name, the color, everything coming up Bluey.
There will be blood as they will draw yet again from this stone that refuses to give them anything easily nor for free from out of Michigan State. It took a lot of extra guidance and they had to keep it to the ground. I like your ideas of forcing this one to maybe be slow, but ramp up pace when they need to. Velocity does exactly that.
Here previously, we have seen this movie before, and we saw how the Spartans were able to respond, but doing it in different fashion here, right? But need to hold the line here, need to continue with that, kind of a reckless abandon almost. And with a $119, you have a little bit more room, a little bit more margin for error. Not to say that you can make mistakes, and Bluey will not. My goodness, Double M, what a response.
This is fantastic. This is what Indiana Tech was starting with, and it all came from that one shot from out of Velocity in game number 1. Well, they decided to keep the course this time around here, Monkey Shine. So Michigan State will surrender 4-1 at 114. Feel like something like that is full of a Spartan lost in time and lore. Velocity, can they do it again? Nice carry over. Morvo will finally stem the bleeding, but for how long?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I was talking about. This is the mentality of champions, of individuals to get those big dubs. Yeah, you might get popped in the mouth, but then you shift on back. Game number 2, and again, we did see it 3-1 previously, but the way that Michigan State was able to respond to that game number 1, night and day, my friend, night and freaking day.
Sometimes you got to turn on the lights. Sometimes you got to be able to turn them off, and then you just go sicko mode. 30 seconds to go. 4-1 looks like a winnable feature, and we could have ourselves a tied series. This is a completely different vibe, a completely different energy from the Warriors from the last time that they faced off against Michigan State. You can tell that the idea is to just overwhelm the Spartans. They don't want the mean green to have their extra time in the sun. Opbom will retreat as Morvo tries to get something going, but that is all of an idea, and it will stay in the thoughts. But Reshi to Bluey and all the connections made by Indiana Tech will secure themselves the victory, and we go 1-1 before game number 3.
Absolutely beautiful. And then for those of you not familiar, hey, one of my absolute favorite teams in the entirety was the Peeps, individuals that were able to so effectively use demos. That the case for Indiana Tech. Bluey, Reshi, I see you out there. Velocity, my guy. Look, I love you to death. You got the savior, but you got to get involved on this one.
7 demos between them. Hey, you know what? If they're gonna force their hand, they're gonna slap them around. So Indiana Tech, they decide it's time to bring the Claymore out. They don't have to be strategic about this. Swing for the fences, get physical. Some of those were at late term in that game, but you know what? It will rest with them, and this one will go directly on target. So already Michigan State trying to arrest that, or just completely erase that previous game performance as we go to match point available for either squad.
And I will say as well, yeah, those were later in the game, but they stick with you. If this is your identity, this is what you're shifting into, saying, all right, fine, you know what, you want to be like this, we will bring the pain right back to you, then you do not let up. From bell to freaking bell, do you continue them? So just very curious to see if it was a situation where, you know, it's a reset for Indiana Tech, or if they can continue on. Of course, we saw what Michigan State was able to do in the early going of game number one. Nice little response there by him, but things got away, and it was all Warriors for a big moment. So looking for a response are the Spartans. Looking to continue on with that confidence are the Warriors. And hop back, up and over, but you do have Op Bomb. Able to steal it by, lays out the sacrificial tape, but it does not matter because Velocity got to be able to follow, sitting right smack in front of the goal. You take the defender out of it. It's simply mathematics. And even I, terrible at mathematics, can tell you that ain't going to come up your way.
Smoke screened off, great demos, and again, all of that smoke and mirror play, they're trying to just force their way through. And that one will be a cue ball, set it up, knock them down. 2 seconds outside the first minute. Indiana Tech will find their second.
Boys, gentlemen, for crying out loud, what is this? Where did this come from? This ferocity, this tenacity. I know, deep down inside, where winners, where champions are made. However, we are just over a minute into this one, 2-0, and cannot let off of that gas. This is not a Spartan team that you can afford any measure of space, and lays out yet again. Demos left, right, front, and center, every single direction. I think we need to create a new dimension, a new possible, just some different idea of where we can possibly exist to figure out where more demos can come from in this series, because indeed it has turned into a knockout dragout fight.
This is a build your own adventure book, but every single option they get is simply to be demoed. There's so much barroom brawl right now throughout the pages, and the story right now is that Indiana Tech is just not going to allow Michigan State to be able to read anything. Velocity! He just stole your girl, gave him a drink, and said, hey, I'll call you later.
And tip him if you got him. It is the hat trick as well. Velocity. Wow. It is a vibe. It is a vibe, good sir. And I see you out there. So 3, 2, 1, and 0 is the case for the Michigan State Spartans. My friend, Double M, a switch. It has been flipped.
Whew. That is something that was missing the last time that they faced off against the Spartans. This team definitely needed to get back out of their own heads and just being able to play the game that they love to be able to do. It's attitude. They are overwhelming the Mean Greenies from out of Michigan State. Spartans are left with no options but to try and isolate some of these features. Drewy will drop this possession, seeing what more he can do with it, but he's having to jump so much faster than is normal. He usually has a lot of airspace they can contend with. Op Bomb has been kind of missing. Double tap opportunity will not come about as Drewy doesn't take the same line. Morvo has been pretty consistent, I would have to say, for Spartans, trying to be in the back line, being a nuisance. He's gotten some bumps, gotten some demos, and is sneaking around to steal some of that boost, but it's just not developed into a full team effort from out of Michigan State.
It's been kind of like trying to put together a puzzle, but several pieces are missing. It just kind of seems like that is the situation for the Spartans right now. You have elements, you have concepts of a quality play, and you also have demo after demo. Look, people who know me know, oh my God, Monkey Shots just absolutely has to be swelled ear to ear, and you better believe I am. Not only because of the demos, but because of the Warriors. Oh, now, these boys, they ain't done. They ain't done just yet. You were out there on the pitch, you will regret it. You got 2:06 left to go, 2:06 left to enjoy here, ladies and gentlemen. And it is that pop courtesy of Bluey.
4 goals, none in answer from Michigan State. Remember, this is the Spartan group that was able to take down Concord, and they also took down Indiana Tech 3-1 to try and to deny them and throw them into the lower bracket. Vengeance is best served cold, but these boys are red hot right now. They're trying to continue keeping this one as a tough drought for Michigan State. Had all of 1 goal in the previous game, now none, and we're approaching the last 100 seconds of it before match point is assured.
There is an aggression. I realize the name says Indiana Tech, but with regards to seeing MSU out there, you would forgive me, if, again, in my terrible vision, if it didn't almost seem with the blue like it says Michigan, because it just has a ferocity. It just has absolutely not. We are not pulling back by any stretch of the imagination. We will not give you any opportunity to find any measure of confidence, and that is absolutely what this team needs. The goose egg, however, will go courtesy of Op Bomb. So just pump the brakes maybe a little bit, Monkey Shines. Calm down. There still is $1.19 left to go. Still plenty of time, of course. So one of the few times it's gotten away, it's been a fair bit into this one. The responses, we have seen them come quick from this Warriors crew.
Yeah, and we don't want to see this one go out of sorts, so secure the bag. And sometimes, every good omelet needs a few eggs broken. So that goose egg now gone in favor of Michigan State, at least in that moment, but that's all of one. Making sure that they don't give up this back line. No overcommits. Communication. You see them kind of racing around for small pads and boosts, seeing what resources do exist out into this open zone. As Velocity can't quite make the connection, but Bluey does. Gives a kiss of death over to a Michigan State attacker. Bluey's just going to take a good, honest shot. That goes top shelf. Off bomb there to help that one send out.
So about 45 seconds left to go in this one, ladies and gentlemen. And Indiana Tech maybe looking for one more, look for a little bit more zest, a few more demos, if you please. Good certs. And now collected Op Bomb to nudge over to Morvo. But the Bumbery actually kind of taken him out of position for a moment, and it was that stall. The Ultimate may have denied the Spartans any sort of momentum. And my goodness gracious me, it is the car. It is the color. It is the name. Everything coming up Bluey. Everything coming up Warriors. With a little bit of fashion, a little bit of style, a little bit of finesse on that one as well.
Any faster and Usain Bolt's going to have to get rid of their world record title. My goodness, that is so quick. 5-1 in Indiana Tech. They went from having 3 in game number 1, 4 in game number 2, 5 in game number 3. You can see the exponential factor building in right now. 16 seconds and less. Michigan State getting clapped, getting slapped, and getting just destroyed here in game number 3, where Indiana Tech wanted to right wrongs that were taken away from the good old Tech Yaz. Reshi with maybe one good hook shot. That one will be paused in the stripes. But we move on. Indiana Tech will be up 2-1 in this series, and they will be a game away from a guarantee of 3 points. I know that seems like it's just more than one, from 2, and it is. So something to think about in going to that grand final, but they would love to punch their ticket first.
And ladies and gentlemen, 3 shots, 3 goals for Velocity. I'll take that stat line every day of the week. Able to get the hat trick, and on the cusp as well was honestly, Double M. I swore he was there. I mean, if you would have told me, yeah, absolutely, he had the hat trick plus. I was like, obviously he did. I saw it, you saw it, but no. What a reversal of fortunes again in game number 1. I'm thinking, I mean, you've got a team going out there in MSU, ferocious, just not giving any space, not any comfort. But then Indiana Tech, it's one thing I saw seeing these guys play, like in terms of offense, so fun, so mechanical as we've seen, just the area control off the charts. But to bring in that tenacity and that aggression, that was the one thing that I was curious, are they able to bring that in? Because if so, absolutely off the chart potential. The sky is the limit, and indeed we are seeing that right now.
The Drury crutches are breaking. This is a team in Michigan State that is built around Drury. And if that player is nullified, Morvo has to stand up. They were trying to find cheeky ways, cloak and dagger style, to maybe undo the Plymouth, the foundation that we've been seeing a lot more disciplinary from out of Indiana Tech. Bomb. Well, that bomb's exploded. I've not seen him in a while. So we'll see how this one goes. 5 minutes left. Game number 4. Indiana Tech is going to try and run up this score. This one nearly dropping in. Drury will deny.
On their heels are the Spartans right now, just needing one more dub. However, we all know what happened last time I said that. Don't want to see a situation like we did against VPCU. The Barretts, of course, absolutely ferocious in their attempts. But again, yet another demo, boys. Keep them coming. The pass set high up and over. Michigan State looking to try to make any kind of a statement, something they really have not been able to do since that game number 1. It has largely been the Warriors' world, and the Spartans are simply living in it. But at the time being, I thought, look, the way things are going, fully anticipated Blue to sneak that pass. But for Michigan State, again, I don't know, man. There's just a lacking of confidence, a lacking of everything. It just seems like things went straight up bland for them.
Yeah, this is a completely different beast. This is Michigan State, 2 years ago, not doing much. I am a little concerned as to what we're seeing from out of what is a perennial Big Ten powerhouse. But Indiana Tech does not care where you came from or who you are right now. They're simply going to get the job done. And Velocity and company, as many times as they battered at the door, got to give credit to the defense that does in fact exist for the moment. They haven't let them through under direct fire. Reshiram does in fact extend. Opbomb is aiming to get that back boost. He gets it. He only gets a little love touch by Velocity from behind. So 100 seconds about to be peeled away from game 4. Not a lot of productivity has been provided. They were upfield for a while, but they didn't get anything yet.
And Velocity taking to the sky, looking for the bump bomb, but it is the soft touch and the send away. And when we have seen patient play previously, when we have seen that calm, cool defense from teams that have taken on Tech, I mean, that has been a challenge for them from time to time. So Michigan State, again, settling in, trying to say, all right, fine, we take it a game at a time. Right now, you've got goose eggs on the board. However, one thing I'm also noticing is not just the patience. I'm noticing an interesting absence of demos, honestly.
It has been. They've been a lot more focused on just kind of on-ball possession play, and that's something that Michigan State knows how to be able to read. Not the physicality. This one's going to be dropping nearby. Velocity to Reshi. He's actually got Velocity off on the wing. That's Morvo trying to disrupt it. See what they can do. Drewy screaming in from the outside. Half of this game is gone. This one much quicker in terms of the tick of the clock. Can they continue to make things difficult? They are going for some of those off-angle bumps into these Spartans as they come around. Handoff over to Morvo, as standard as you can really get. There's not a lot of boost, at least in the back corner to Fitz. Reshi will come up next. They finally get some airtime. Velocity is going to put a dropper in, but Drewy will bring it back.
My goodness, look at the setup. Is Morvo will be denied. Opbomb looking for the follow. He will be denied. So every single solitary Spartan denied the flick away, but no. And my goodness, it is just, again, on both ends of the pitch. Again, both of these teams, like you said, they understand the assignment. They understand the scarcity of those points. And Reshi coming in clutch, buck 42. And when you go back and forth like that double M, when you go back and forth and you find yourself in this situation back up against the wall, you say, all right, cool. Eventually the dam is going to break, because what must we do? What must we do to be able to get on the scoreboard? And how demoralizing can that feel? But still a lone goal.
What an adjustment from out of Reshiram. That was beautiful. A catch. Oh, but a slam down. If there's anyone that Michigan State's going to rely on, it's Drewy and individual efforts. Morvo had gone forward. He bumped into Reshi. Velocity was left in a 50-50, and they went low.
I see you, Morvo. Don't think that I'm not going to tip the hat, because I most certainly will. But at the end of the day, buck 34 left to go in this one in Indiana Tech. They are, I do believe, ready to respond in kind. Collected by Velocity. Pops that one back with a roll. It will not. And Michigan State able to rush back on that goal line pretty well in the interim. But again, ladies and gentlemen, Indiana Tech just needed that single solitary victory to advance on. Absolute banger. And it is courtesy of Bluey. Double F. You cannot think that he is not ready to step up. Center field shot.
I mean, Monkey Shines, that was a double commit where both defenders went flying towards their own net. And then you're left with Morvo, who's already in net, trying to find it. They actually make a connection. I'm going to give him some kudos to that. This might end up being turned in, and it is. They would turn a bad situation for the Spartans into worse. But it's a great moment here for Indiana Tech. They might just have assured it with all of 76 seconds to go.
The roller skates in the rink that Michigan State was wearing there momentarily, where they're going to try to brace, try to find something, they have officially turned into actual skates out there on the ice. They are flipping, they are flopping, they are trying to find something to work with. But much like the past several games, Indiana Tech able to respond, able to frustrate, and now the clock not on the side of the opposition. Absolutely not. The arch nemesis is a minute remaining here. About to pop away, maybe looking for some love from the aforementioned Physics. Drewy, however, not able to put that one in. And again, double M. What tenacity by this crew from that game 1 to game 2. Genuinely curious on how this would go. And even the Crossbar, Mr. Crossbar, is a Warrior fan.
Fourth man coming in on Ironsides, but Opbomb, who had gone 404, completely not found, finally shows up when the Michigan State Spartans need him the most. Morvo just trying to secure anything else. You had two defenders flying down with no extra boost. They had been cycled into their corners. 36 seconds. hold on to your butts, hold on to your keyboards, whatever you got to do to affirm some success with a half-minute left. Don't give anything away for free. Michigan State knocking at the door. Indiana Tech trying to score again.
I saw you with the 404 joke very well. I appreciate that. If anybody, look, if nobody did, I certainly did. But indeed, 3-2 in favor of the Warriors. How about we tie it up courtesy of who else? It was gonna be Drewy. Have a look at this one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, able to pop this one high velocity, trying to rush back around, but it is the whiffery and off the dome as well. And that's got to feel good for the Spartans off the opposition. Hits a little bit different, quite literally in that case. 14 seconds left here in regulation.
That was about 20 or so seconds after that previous. We could be hitting overtime, trying to get to the grand finals. Indiana Tech, they are on the precipice of greatness and doing it again. This is a foot race. Can Reshi get there? No. Game 5 is 2 seconds away. Talk about resilience. It was 3-1. I feel like I've seen this game before.
3-1. That's always been the curiosity. That's when the real game starts, I feel, at the end of the day. But indeed, Michigan State, hey, I will, again, wrap back around here and say how challenging must it be when you find yourself in a situation like this, everything going against you, but much like our previous opponent, the previous round, able to hold down the fort. We shift on over into a game number 5, and who else is it gonna be? It is the hat trick, courtesy of Drewy, and in short form and fashion.
1,000 points, by the way. Look, I know it seems like I'm talking a lot of smack about some of the squads, but Drewy literally got 1,000 points, a hat trick, and kicked his team forward as hard as he could. We got Opbomb being able to make the same thing happen, and somehow late term, it's called a throw out of the Warriors, or call it literally the Spartans showing up. We end up with one game left to be played to decide who has to go into the lower finals and who will just simply be able to sit for a second into the grand finals. This bracket goes to a bracket reset if necessary. $300 goes to a team. 5 points, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you only have 5 out of 11 points available, goes to the winner of the same. Indiana Tech and Michigan State are fighting it tooth and nail, just claw and fist to try and get this one through. Sword and shield, someone's got to break. Indiana Tech, Michigan State. Let's go game 5.
Look, at the end of the day, hey, I think it's been quite apparent that I'm more than happy to give people props, and I will certainly do that when I say that the Spartans obviously invested in a marvelous canvas backpack for my guy Drewy out there. But at the end of the day, Opbomb as well. Keep in mind, arguably the game determining goal. At the end of the day, it was 3-3. If you take Drewy's into account, needing one more, and indeed that was supplied by the aforementioned. But Indiana Tech going to be denied by Drewy, looking to do maybe a little bit of everything for the Spartans, and I do believe, courtesy of that demo, might we be headed back to what was oh so successful for these Warriors. Not hating the idea.
But then they also use it in kind. Drew is able to get this score, and look at Morvo. I believe that Opbomb kind of laid this one out. Was it? No, it was Opbomb that actually got the demo. So for once, living up to their name, making their opponent explode. So in the first 51 seconds, Spartans strike first.
Branding on point. Don't think I don't appreciate that, Opbomb. I see you out there, my guy. But indeed, we saw a game previously where it was back and forth with regards to the demos. But now it almost seems like a switch has been flipped in the opposite direction. Just a little bit more of a speed overall for the Spartans. And that one not going to be on. There will be an opportunity to follow up. Dangerous spot over velocity. Going to send this one away. Sent high. Bluey looking for the follow, but will be denied. So again, a 1-0 situation. Not a place that either team should be comfortable with.
You were talking about getting that one demo onto the player just a little bit ago before that ultimate goal that Michigan State was able to get. Was it a return to that physical form? The unfortunate part is that Indiana Tech got that only on a recovery rotation back defensively. They've not been able to set the standard nor the pace in front of Michigan State. When they were really rocking and rolling them is when they went into their own defensive box and they were able to force them backwards by a lot of those extra bumps. Morvo is now doing it to them like they were getting before. Drewy overcommitted. Reshi and Bluey is trying to be able to make this one work. They have velocity that will take away that possession. It's a fake out and it's a strike. 101, 303.
You had to take advantage of that situation with Drew. You had to. And indeed, the Warriors did just that. My guy, Bluey, sitting down center field, got the demo for good measure, did the Spartans. But hey, at the end of the day, we are talking about a one-win ball game. Both of these teams, as my colleague has said multiple times, they understand what is on the line, a scant number of points. But when you have the opportunity, you need to grab them. There will not be many. And just like the same situation, taking advantage of when Drewy not able to do anything with it, lays out now, does Indiana Tech. And it almost seems like we're shifting back and forth between the two play styles, the two identities almost, that we have seen between these two teams in this single solitary game.
Definitely taking their time and taking their turns when they can get it. It feels so brief, and we go into that medium interlude right now where both are going to be tested. Velocity, aiming to at least take an honest shot directly on target, and Reshi doesn't have anything in the way of boost, so Drewy's going to play for this one very low and very slow. Bluey gets baited out. That leaves Reshi on an island. He knows that he's going to be targeted. Oh, a great connection. I don't know which Spartan it was, but that one otherwise would have been dead to rights. Trying for the 1-2 muster. They do! They've done it time and time again. Indiana Tech strikes back.
Marvelous setup. Reshi and Bluey just up again. I think there was about a pixel difference in that one. Able to respond. Indiana Tech, kind of a microcosm of how this series has been. But you know what we got to see, right? You know there's another one that needs to go up on the board for good old IT, right? That's how this goes.
They eventually got to get there. 3-1 is where this entire story begins and ends ultimately, because that's either where Michigan State begins to flourish, or it's where Indiana Tech begins to pour it on. So as we get to that measure with 1 minute and 45, if you're Indiana Tech, you're going to try and play the most fundamental and the most declarative Rocket League probably to try and take on Michigan State. You're going to go right into their back half, and the risks start to become, do you take it or do you not? Percentages begin to shift. A minute and a half. Reshi to the outside of this pitch, right down the middle. Velocity is Bluey in the wing, and they're going to back Reshi up to make sure they can go on this next level and next try.
So trying to be particular, trying to be just 100% focused as far as where they're going. Quite intentional are the Spartans trying to be. But Bluey, soft touch up and over. And indeed, we've been here so many times. We got to be here again. It is 3-1 in favor of Tech. Hashtag Tech, yeah, in chat.
What a focus. Bluey has been looking so good. This was definitely a player that I've seen them go up and down throughout the years, and sometimes they get in their own head. Keeping that energy and keeping that focus. Bluey has an extra moment. We can do the funniest thing. He's trying to. This one just within reach of Velocity. 1 minute ago. It was thrown a game ago. Doing it for the content. The drop in, no! Denied by Reshi.
Not only about the demos, definitely about the content, but indeed 3-1 in favor of Indiana Tech for the time being. Nay, Caster Curse and then some. Why don't you, my guy? 3-2, and of course, who is doing the delivery? Not DoorDash. Instead, it is Drewy. Marvelous setup though by Morvo. 48 ticks on the 48 ticks on the clock here, and I got to slap on the qualifier in regulation.
Michigan State has done this before. They've done it twice. They're trying to do it thrice. Take away what was nearly assured victory from the Warriors. An awkward moment. Velocity will help out Bluey. Bluey will step up to the plate, but he doesn't have a lot of that angle. Big save out of Rush, but they're in trouble. They've got Drewy now directing up bomb. He brings this one to the stripes again. Bluey trying to find one. And then you have Rushy with the follow-up. A half minute. A demo. That will help thin things out. Is that enough? Drewy will find themselves parking in their own defensive half. One last attack forthcoming.
Our big Barton, that nudge. High. Again, Indiana Tech looking to clear this just to deny this Michigan State Spartan. This Michigan State spending any opportunity, but it is Drewy. We are tied 3-all, and last time we were here, double M. I did not care for the outcome, and this is why I tacked on that qualifier.
Oh. There was about an average about 15 to 20 boost for each player in that moment. It was Michigan State that knew they had the timing and they knew they had the ability to really pour it on. Reshi's going to go opt for boost. That is a good idea. Bluey will bring it to the sidewall, try and give it over to Reshi. They're going to keep this one skyward, but this is going to go overtime. Game 5, overtime, to see who goes to grand finals, to try and assure themselves the most minimalistic of improvement of points, but ones they need oh so badly if they truly intend to take it into split 2.
First time I've had the opportunity to do this in a major CRL event, ladies and gentlemen. FTC for the content. It is match 5. Y'all know at the end of the day, I am a sicko when it comes to this kind of stuff. That one off, looking to follow, but it will be denied. And you got to look to who else, I think, for this one. Number 1 on one side of the pitch, you got to look to Drewy. But on the other side, for the good guys, I think you look to Bluey. Demolition. Morvo looking for the setup, but it is nudged back. Michigan State looking to maybe brute force this one. Popped away. Coming across Big White Boss, we know, instead of hop off with possession, sent away up and over. That one off, looking to follow. And nope, that one actually sneaked past as Drewy looking to collect, rushes over into the corner. Do the Warriors, bangs that one back down. The kickback, opportunity for the shot, courtesy of Blue, will be denied. Follow up, no, it's not gonna be there.
So close yet so far. Now they're out of position. This is going to have to rely on Bluey. They finally get some boost. Indiana Tech was living on sips of air. Had nothing but just empty space to have to deal with. This eventually goes all the way to the back line of Drewy. What a 50-50. They take a step away. This is a shot. Going for the double. Velocity with the layup. It takes 2. Bluey cannot get it down. The hexagons will ring loudly as Indiana Tech lays it in. Michigan State surrenders that last goal. At 123, that's how the boys be. They qualify into the grand finals.
I know you can't see it, but it's appropriate that it's spooky season because my knuckles could not get any wider. You would swear you were looking at Casper and Indeed at Friendly Gross. I don't freaking know, but ladies and gentlemen, hey, y'all know me. This is what I bring along with. This is what we need. We need a Game 5 OT, but even better yet, we needed the boys with a dub. And you know what? Let's pause here for a hot second. I do want to say a tremendous job by that Michigan State crew because you cannot have a good series without another good team. So indeed, GG's. Might we see him again? It is possible.
Whew. I very much expect them to be coming back unless that mentally booms them. But I don't think that anyone has truly tested them much the same way.
Yeah.
But what a way to get vengeance just after the CRL Open qualifier that separated both of these teams in the first place when they both had to take different shots at taking on Concord. Now, with Concord moved on and these two having to fight it out in opens, this is a heck of a rivalry that is one that I've loved to see. Indiana Tech took them a little bit of extra time, but they are able to stand through it in overtime at 1:23. Monkey Shines, we get to take a break. We will be taking a break. All of you out there, it will take some time. We are the first one to punch the ticket into the grand finals. It will be at least, 1, 2, 3 rounds because they have to go through the lower finals. We're guaranteed 3 points. Anything before we take that extended time? Anything?
Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen. It is CRL 2025 3v3 Open Tournament number 1. My name is Monkey Shines, and alongside me, as has been for the entirety of the evening, is Sir Pegasus. It is you, dear viewer, that has not been paying attention. We are in our grand finals. First place gets $300, 5 points, and second place gets 3. It is a rematch, Pegasus, of what we previously saw, a 3-2 situation and an absolute banger. 3-2 in favor of the boys, of course, went to OT, and my goodness gracious, we may very well have another match 5 on our hand, or another game 5 big card in our hands.
Lots of pressure on these two rosters, especially our very own Indiana Tech, currently on a 1-2 record against Michigan State. Of course, that first win picked up in that upper finals, but now they've crossed continents, and it's time to prove that that was all worth it. First opportunity comes through. It's Velocity. Just like he never left his homeland, he stamps his flag onto North American soil.
Not at all shocking from what we have seen this evening, ladies and gentlemen. The only individual now, I look at my non-existent watch on my wrist. It is about Bluey time, dare I say. Of course, Richard getting involved as well. Indiana Tech on the board first. And one thing that we saw a fair bit eventually was demos. Curious to see if that won't be the situation yet again. But Michigan State, a ferocious team, absolutely aggressive and then some. However, my friend, Pegasus, the Warriors have lived up to their namesake as well.
Absolutely, Morvo 1 looks to take it over 1. The second was available. It's Velocity, still 0 boost. Awkward on that ball, and that heavy corner is going to leave this one to Reshiram. Just wants to hold it into the safety area, but that corridor of uncertainty has been found. It requires eyes here to see through all the chaos, and Drew might just have that. Looks for the target. It's wide. It's Velocity, and it's the first real defense survive. Counter comes quick. Velocity finds Bluey inside. You said it was Bluey time. Not quite yet. We'll have to wait a few extra seconds.
Well, like couple of time as the demos come out to play, but indeed in our match number one, the first time that we saw these two teams, it was game one going in favor of the Spartans, and honestly, Pegasus, I really didn't know what to expect here. You know, like I said, some of the enamel went away from the teeth, able to get that dub in game number one were the Spartans, but then Indiana Tech just taking it to a new level. And if there's any other thing I can tell you is that these games, they don't really start until it's 3-1 in favor of the Warriors.
Well, CRL 2025, it has been the most anticipated season of CRL I've ever seen. There has been, of course, all those changes in the format, new teams coming through, Europeans, of course, flying over, very relevant for this series we have ahead of us. And if you want to talk about RLCS talents, he looks to the likes of Drew as well, but Morvo looking to join those stands. It's an equalizer against Indiana Tech, the first real opportunity we've seen, and it's essentially a fully solo effort.
Not what we've really seen over the course of the evening from Morvo, been kind of cleaning things out, a lot of bulldoze opportunities. Drew said, no, thank you very much. We would like to continue on. It's going to be a late evening already. And ladies and gentlemen, I will point out there is a bracket reset ice, and it was Bluey time. And indeed, he will prove me right. I always love that when that happens, make me look like I know what the heck I'm talking about, like I might be an actual professional. What a setup and a follow it is. Bluey time indeed.
Did you mention a bracket reset? Indiana Tech not looking for that whatsoever. They want to equal the scorings between these two teams, but of course have that grand final victory ahead of them. Though that counter-attack sees a third man rather high to the plate. A hard read for Velocity. Much simpler for Upbomb sitting forward. And that is a blitzing ball forward. A lovely little redirect there from Morvo. Something that Indiana Tech's players are rather familiar with. This time, though, gonna have to feel the pressure against it.
And again, Drew, not at all interested in the replays. I assure you, sir, we truly are, though I understand it is getting late. I appreciate your sacrifice. But speaking of sacrifices, the demos, we've started to see them skip on in. That one, however, not going to find back up the net, hop away. Maybe the Warriors can follow, maybe nothing. It is Velocity. And indeed, the momentum that we saw from at least the mid portion of the series, and of course that OT killing shot. The Indiana Tech Warriors back and forth. This one does go. A veritable game of, what do you want to say? Volleyball, tennis, whatever you prefer. It's back and forth.
Certainly is. I hope you're glued to your chairs here. You've got snacks, liquids available, because this looks like an affair that could stretch out. It's been high scoring. There have been plenty of replays to watch, of course, to certain players' dismay, but this could also suggest that this is going to be a back and forth in the series score as well. However, current goals standing in favor of Indiana Tech. It's another quick counter coming through, and the read isn't quite there. And if you're wondering what the difference maker was in this play, he's French, ladies and gentlemen. He knows how to find those angles.
Sim and the fee as we're talking 4-2 in favor of the Warriors. Buck 52 left to go in our home final, appropriately enough. Again, best of 5 situation, ladies and gentlemen, but the bracket reset is in play if at all necessary. However, the way things have gone, Warriors not about that life whatsoever. Drew leading the charge for Michigan State in our previous series, but starting to see Morvo and Obbum get involved a little bit more, which when you have a heavy hitter like Drew out there, it's great to be able to get everybody involved. And a necessary bump back there, it does not matter. The Warriors will deny. But to finish my point earlier, again, Obbum and Morvo both able to get involved a little bit, absolutely critical, so that they are not relying on Drew alone. But still, we continue on here. Morvo looking to assist as he did previously, Pegasus. And I gotta say, coming out here early, we had a conversation with Velocity, felt pretty confident coming into this one.
He did. He said that this is his grand finals to win. He said he didn't come here for nothing, and he's going to try and make the most of it. So far, they have done exactly that, but a lot of these goals have been a result of the counter-attack. They haven't exactly been forced plays, more than they have been mistakes from that defensive side. The third man pushing a little bit too high, getting frustrated with a lockdown defense that both teams are very capable of, and it's rather unusual when you find yourself in series like that, whereas the defensive team that typically are scoring more often. This time it's Indiana Tech, but that's threatening at net. Velocity, though, makes swift work.
It has been a speed that we've seen all evening long with these Warriors. The send along, that went center field. Hot bomb trying to cut back, indeed will deny. Physics not going to be a harsh mistress on that one, although it has been many times for both of these teams all evening long. And Indiana Tech able to get dub after dub after dub. And I will point out as well, Pegasus, we have seen two match fives back to back, but again, I know these folks, hey, it is late. We are ready to head on. You are very tired, no doubt, but ultimately we are indeed talking a 4-2 dub, a game 1 dub in favor of the Warriors. And have a look at our stat sheet here.
Well, you said that good things come in threes. Hopefully it's 3 game wins instead of 3 game 5s in a row. But so far, with how Indiana Tech are playing, they're not looking to let it go that far. A very high demo game, and I know that you are a bit of a connoisseur of it. 9 for Michigan, 7 standing for Indiana Tech. And it made sense with the goals that were eventually scored. It was very high pressing from both sides. Third man really wanted to be a part of that attack. And at many times you'd think that would be a blessing. I feel like more often than not it was a curse, and I would say that the best goal that Michigan State were able to pull off was actually that individual effort from Morvo at the halfway line. So still a little bit of ground to cover here, some questions left to be answered, but it's a grand final that happens to be a best of 5. You don't get that luxury of time.
Now, let's say for Morvo, again, that shot, that goal, not really indicative of what we saw from him. But hey, sometimes you absolutely have to take the bull by the horns in situations like these. And Michigan State, understanding the severity of the situation, after all, ladies and gentlemen, winner of this one, getting $300 Dolori Americana, and of course 5 CRL points. The second place team getting a scant 3. That one kicked back on over towards Morvo. Morvo able to get the touch. Dangerous spot. Is that one gonna get kicked away? Indiana Tech, beg pardon, said Michigan State pop back down as now Tech looking to get on the board here yet again. They have truly stepped onto a different stage ever since that game number 2. It looked like Michigan State may be able to assert their dominance early on, but no, Indiana Tech from game number 2 on, Pegasus, it had been rapid fire machine gun offense.
It's definitely a game that has somewhat slowed down both teams, not falling as susceptible to those same mistakes we saw beforehand. This is definitely a more solid, more calculated game of Rocket League ahead of us, instead of, you know, throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. And we know that Indiana Tech and Michigan State are both very capable of that with the mechanics they have in their holster. But you want that extra bit of safety. Reshiram almost grabbing that first goal. Bluey back on that side, while Velocity's already up for it. Beaten there by Drew Barashi. Not giving up on the attack quite yet. It's going to get that 2-man beat there from Morvo, so it is going to fall back to our favourite legendary Pokemon and slap down in the corner.
And back and forth we've seen this sort of play a couple of times in this series. However, Morvo. All right, so Morvo says, but my guy, just go ahead and step back. I know you don't like replays. Maybe you just need to calm down a little bit. Go ahead and jump in my backpack. I know we've invested heavily for you, good friend. But Morvo absolutely leading the charge here for this Michigan State crew. And hey, you cannot put it all on one individual. I'm stepping on Morvo, obviously, so I just take some pressure. But it is Resham looking quite ferocious here with the double play set sky high. And who else sets him up? You better believe it is Bluey.
And we've complimented the team plays, but that's Indiana Tech showing off some individuality. 1 goal down, no problem whatsoever. 3 seconds go by and you start to hear the Sunday League manager in the back of your head back home in the UK, if you're talking Velocity, saying it's still 0-0. Climb back, play as if nothing ever happened. You've got this game plan ready to put out on show. You've already beaten this Michigan State side, and right now it is very much going to be playing out of defense. 0 boost for Bluey, however. The double commit, though, neutralizing what should have been a clear winning play there for Michigan State. Now it's back in that center. Reshi off that back wall, a hard angle to find, but that dummy play lands on Velocity. Bluey was ready to rotate round, and it's a few boom balls forward, but Velocity fancies his angles. And I believe you were filling me in about this series before. This is nothing new today.
Not at all. And keep in mind, I've talked about mental a great deal, and game number 1 to game number 2 of our previous series, but also keep in mind for the Spartans, hey, they've got to win 2 of these things back to back, and they went down to the lowers. They have been playing a lot. Indiana Tech obviously just kind of keeping chill or whatever. You don't necessarily like to sit around or everything, but there gets to be a point later on it gets. I mean, sleep, some say is for the weak, as they might for my colleague here, but again, he's not out there playing Rocket League, nor am I, not to this level, and eventually, I mean, it starts to wear on you. You start thinking, oh my gosh, this is a lot. Like, you're trying to have solid comms, but these are human beings, ladies and gentlemen. The brain does short out from time to time. But as of right now, Indiana Tech continuing in ways that we have seen a great deal lately. That means the lead, and how about another one? Bluey backing one off.
It's a lovely force through here. Velocity made that all possible with a bump there on up. He was the final man back. Morvo, a little bit of a desperation flip there to try and get 50 across, but what more can you ask from him? It's simply not enough. The position was already winning there for Indiana Tech. And now one step closer to checkmate. Still a game to sell out here, and another one right on afterwards. They are in fantastic form at the moment. And how much longer can I sing their praises? The symphony lives on.
You talked about spaghetti hitting walls. I just have this mental image right now of these fine folks. Look, great players from the Spartans, but just like this big pan, this big pot of spaghetti, right? But it's already got the sauce, already got the meatballs, but then bang, down on the floor, just kind of staring at it. What is this? What must we do? And again, I feel in this moment you are starting to see that tiredness, that weariness come out to play here. And believe me, marvelous players. Oh, we've seen them. Morvo stepping up in a big way. Outbomb looking for another as well, or at least kick this high for Drewy, but no, will be denied. And there is a speed, there's a lack of crispness that we saw earlier on from the Spartans. I mean, Drewy, of course, we know what to expect from him as well, but we start seeing Outbomb get involved, and I don't know if that's a situation where, again, you've got Drewy sitting back saying, hey, please skip these replays, but indeed we'll be able to put one on the board for the Spartans.
My goodness, that first miss was rather egregious, and despite him getting that goal a little bit later, now there's a 4th man on the pitch. It's that clock at the top of your screen, and it is on the side of Indiana Tech. Michigan State gonna have to put in a lot of effort here if they want to claw this one back, if they don't want to be reliant of a reverse sweep. By the way, just to reverse the bracket here. Still Bluey popping it up high. You said throwing spaghetti at the wall. Well, mark me a pastafarian if Bluey can get this on target. Flip reset. It's not enough. Velocity looking to get that job done, but Morvo with 2 blocks out solos the way out of defense for Michigan, but they're not out of the woods.
I will certainly give the flowers to Morvo stepping up offensively, defensively. Of course, Drewy getting that shot on a little bit early, but as you said, the arch nemesis of Michigan State right now, it is not the Wolverines, it is the clock. As time cannot get it back, has to rush up to find something, looking for a chase after, maybe a demo, and Bluey making it 5 Pegasus. It gets to be a point when you just ask, what must we do? And backs up against the wall that the Spartans will have. I gotta ask you, my guy, we'll get in the Spartan shoes for a moment. What must you do if you are the Spartans? You got the reverse sweep. How do you get there?
My goodness, they got to calm down a little bit here. I mean, an open net miss and getting faked there on those final lines. Of course, you already find yourself a little bit out of position with the pressure against you. So, of course, you are going to be that little bit more susceptible to it. But it all goes down to that 3rd man. I'm a 3rd man myself when I'm playing the game, so obviously there is that little bit of bias on that side, but that's your metronome. That's who controls the game, and so far it's Indiana Tech, whose 3rd man, whoever it may be at any given situation, has been pure perfection. 2 goals conceded, typically high in any other series, but when you're scoring 5, who's to judge?
And again, you see Bluey and Velocity there. I think if we expect anybody to vibe, any dynamic duo out of this one, all due respect to Reshi, of course, it would be those two. I mean, we saw the playmaker as well, back and forth. That one did go, and it looks like if there are any players coming on the field, it is those two. But right now, if you are the Spartans, you got the reverse sweep that you need. You got to rip the Indiana Tech broom out of their hands or turn it on its head. But the way this one's going, I mean, again, fatigue setting in. You are back here. You know you have to win. At the very least, you have to go out there and win 6 games to be able to walk away with the dub here. Indiana Tech needing a scant 1. The number 11 seed just needing 1 more dub to become $300 richer and have 5 points to their name and velocity. A little bit of love from Mr. Crossbar there as well. Only 13 seconds in, ladies and gentlemen, Tech on the board.
Well, he's been speaking about the Spartans. There's certainly been a Trojan horse, and it's the Americans stomping their way into North America. And it's a slaughter on the pitch here in the grand finals. Continue like this. Who cares about that bracket reset? Reshiram goes alone. A flip reset to get the job done. This is a player at full force.
Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, for whatever it's worth, I mean, these are individuals that, as of right now, what we're talking 3, 4 a.m., they are battle-tested in terms of time. They have dealt with this situation, and my goodness, it is just the dam has burst. The mudslide officially in full effect. There are no, I would suggest roller skates. I would suggest ice skates, but the skates are off. It is just going out there on frozen water and trying to find something, but it is slipping, it is sliding. Unfortunately, the Spartans right now, I mean, I don't want to suggest anything, but at this point, Pegasus, I mean, you continue on playing. Obviously, that is the athlete, but is there a point where you say, is this really worth it? We could get those 3 points?
Well, you're always going to fight back. These are professional players. They've played at that top level. I mean, we mentioned Drury so many times before today, who admittedly isn't having the best of series here, but you know that at any moment he can step up. There's still plenty of time here left on the clock, and this is where you start to play it game by game. You're not thinking about that bracket reset. You're not even thinking about this first series. You just got to get the job done, and it's his 2 teammates which connects for the blitzing ball in the top of the net.
And I'll say right there, I am a hypothetical individual. I like to examine things from all angles. Of course, these individuals would not say we are fine with second place. And again, Morvo, all the credit to him. When we come into this one, I said, all right, it's time for Drew to do his thing. But no, it has been largely the Morvo show. That rhymes. Put on a t-shirt. Marketing opportunities, they do abound. Looking for a setup. Indeed, there is your setup, and there is your follow. And shock and awe, ladies and gentlemen, it be Bluey, and a marvelous setup as well by Reshi this time. So right now, it is all Morvo for Michigan State, but a full team effort for those folks, the pride of Fort Wayne.
It's vital getting that goal as quick as possible, just looking to shut down any hopes that Michigan State have of trying to pick up that little bit of momentum. It's taken right back. These 3 players look really well connected. I know that they are boot camping at the moment, and you can see that chemistry spilling on the pitch. Another chance forward. It's Bluey with the open net, and Michigan State, it's got to be your move now. Indiana Tech are starting to run away with it.
Again, right now, just the level of challenge that you are looking at. If you are Michigan State, you're saying, okay, well, we got to get the reverse sweep. Right now, we're down by 3. We got to win another bracket reset. I mean, hey, this is Rocket League. This is CRL. Wild things do happen, but just a monumental mountain to climb. This one gets sent sky high and now dips back down. Maybe an opportunity for the Spartans to stolen away by Velocity. And right now, Pegasus, you know me fairly well. There is a mode that I often talk about in these, and it is indeed free play mode. We saw it a little bit earlier on against Raw University, but now we may very well be seeing it against, honestly, easily one of the best teams that we have in this pool. And I'm not able to follow, but Drew, we will. And I'm going to tell you, Pegasus, genuinely, if that did not go in, at this point, I would swear the Rocket League gods just absolutely cursed the Spartans.
Yeah, absolutely. Magnet towards a post and crossbar there on the orange side, but ultimately they were able to force it through, and I don't want to see Indiana Tech go full free play mode yet. There's still over half the game yet to go. If one team can do it in the grand finals, why can't the other? Maybe because they're cut from a different cloth, they're a different breed. It's Velocity yet again with that ball landing right onto his lap after that perfect 50-50.
To my suggestion, my guy, just going out there saying, well, you know, I see a few butts on the pitch, but I digress. As again, Indiana Tech right now looking
on me, guys.
Absolutely top shit. Look, ladies and gentlemen, in game number 1, I will go back there in game number 1 of our previous series, and again, Michigan State just absolutely popping around aggression. But ever since then, it has been all Indiana Tech. And even though we head on over to that game 5 overtime, I mean, in that moment, the momentum on the the side of the Warriors. And that's silly, my friend. You go into a Game 5 OT, how could momentum possibly be all on the side of one? Well, ladies and gentlemen, able to get down to the grand final, or down, maybe more like across for the grand final. But right now, everything, and I do mean everything, coming up Warriors.
Reshi has got to be a hacked mon. Max EVs in speed, attack, and defense. He's simply perfect with how he's playing right now. I love the little pockets he's found himself in. And he's got that little bit of mechanics as well. Can lay it off for a teammate. Knows when to leave it for the dummy. Velocity shot, though, does tip out wide. Bluey Bow not going for net. Wants the back wall instead. Sorvad has the higher win condition. But now down to Morvo. Michigan State still have 2 minutes of blood, sweat, and tears. They don't want to leave anything on this pitch, and it's helping being spilled out here with some of the demos that are coming through. Velocity looks to take it across again on his own. It's really well defended so far from Indiana Tech. It's 6-2, and you'd think that they were looking to just hold a 1-goal lead. The bus has certainly been parked, but when the opportunity has presented itself, it is pedal to the metal.
And I will say as well, I got to give all the credit in the world to any team that goes out and plays at this level. Their back's up against the wall to this degree, down 6-2. Again, credit to all of these individuals. And Tiffany, if you got him, it is the hat trick for Velocity. Again, Indiana, I said pedal to the metal. Hey, here it is, Indiana Tech. They will continue on as if it is 0-0 each and every time. And we took a little trip to South America a little bit earlier on. I am eyeballing my passport again, good sir.
Already seeing in chat people calling for statues of the players already, and can we get someone on that stat? I mean, come on, this is not going to change in the next 70 seconds. I tell you what, if I curse that, clip this, and I mean, it'll be a part of history forever. Demo through here from Michigan State. An opportunity looking to find the target. Blue Evo, make sure that curse does not sustain. Reshi can buff it out wide, and it's one final minute where the players will keep on flowing. But for us here at home, it's really starting to feel like a victory lap.
Indeed, 7-2, ladies and gentlemen, Indiana Tech coming into the day. I mean, they've always been fast. They have always been fluid, just like that. Thank you, Velocity. And as this bracket has continued on, as the evening has gone on, the doubt, any questions that you might have, they have gone up in smoke. Unlike the goal explosion kind of sort of, yeah, sure, there's some off the Vitality logo. Let's run with that. But 8-2, 39 ticks left to go here. And as Drew says, surely we can skip now. Good sir, I cannot disagree at this point. But again, Indiana Tech, number 11 overall seed, coming into this one and looking even better bit by bit as we go along. But again, I've got to say GG's to all the fine teams that played today, all the fine teams that we had the opportunity to see. But Velocity, maybe, kind of, sort of, Pegasus, eyeballing the double hat trick.
Michigan State already sick of these Europeans. Barcelona was certainly a step too far. Let another one slip away here, but now they're looking at a potential double digits in the last 21 seconds. And Indiana State, they're making the most of this. This is a bloodthirsty side. You're never going to see them start beating Morvo. Blue is positioned perfectly. You're not going to see them slow down. Velocity still looking to attack. Reshiram's on 0 boost. Gets to pick up his 100. Another chance flies across, but Michigan State disallowed anything in this CRL first open. Indiana Tech, from continent to continent, victory follows them wherever they go.
He will not stop, ladies and gentlemen. Love him to death. You know who else I love to death, good sir? Well, number one, I got to give all the love in the world to Sir Pegasus. Again, all the love as well to hail Monkey Man a little bit earlier on. Sir Pegasus stepping up here in crunch time very, very late. But ladies and gentlemen, what an evening. Indiana Tech able to get all the way through, able to get those 300 Dolores Americana, also getting the 5 points as well. And if you had a look at the projections on this over at start, it was the opposite of this, expecting Michigan State to get the dub, shift on over the grand finals, get another win, but instead it is the reverse. So what an amazing evening. I know you have only been here for a little bit, in all seriousness, Pegasus, but I gotta ask, you saw the finest that we have seen these individuals played. What stood out for you?
Look, I'm very used to how these players play, frankly. I've seen them all the time in Europe. I mean, let's be real here. Velocity and Reshiram, this is just them with a fresh coat of paint, and in North America, they look fantastic. Bluey is a generational name in the scene as well, and he's not looking to slow down anytime soon, and I truly feel like this being the next chapter in their careers is so fitting. Picking up some education as well, so both on the pitch and off the pitch, they're looking fantastic right now, and you can only be all smiles for them.
Absolutely. It is never too late, ladies and gentlemen, to start learning. Never too late to head back to school or to continue being in school, etc., etc., etc. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, congratulations to the Indiana Tech Warriors getting the dub, getting a little bit richer today. But again, I want to say GGs to all the fine teams that we saw today. Each and every one of you, magnificent. After all, we couldn't have great matches, we couldn't have great series without great players and each and every one of you out there. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a tremendous evening. My name is Monkey Shines. You can find me on Twitter, Monkey Shines TV, any other platform you do prefer. Sir Pegasus to my left out there on Twitter. Give the man a follow, especially for his hard work. Showed up when we needed him the most. In the meantime, it has been a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, including that big long break. My name is Monkey Giants. He's Sir Pegasus. Have a great rest of your evening.